So we're going to have, of course, a pre-show, if you will. We're going to carry the dinner live as well, and then, of course, have folks afterwards. This obviously, the state has obviously changed. Democrats have a trifecta now where they control the House, control the Senate, and control the governor's mansion. They've been able to drive policy agenda. They've also had some setbacks. The redistricting special election that took place was invalidated by the Virginia State Supreme Court, stopping them from redrawing the state's congressional lines to a 10-to-1 plan, or giving the legislature the authority to actually redraw them to a 10-to-1 plan. And so that battle continues along with many others. And so when you have power, the key is using that power. So the question now is, what is that agenda going to look like? What is it going to mean over the next couple of years? Joining us right now is one of the delegates, Virgil Thornton Sr. Glad to have you here. First and foremost, you served how long in the legislature?
Brand new. This was my first term.
First term. How's it been thus far?
Absolutely amazing. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Huge learning curve?
Huge learning curve. Yes, indeed. It's like drinking out of a fire hose, but I always say that I came to the General Assembly thirsty.
Absolutely. And look, it's I mean, again, you're coming in the different world. You're not in the minority. You're in the majority. You have the governor's mansion after 4 years of Republican Glenn Youngkin. Now you have Governor Spanberger in there. And so what are you saying, or what are your constituents saying that they want you to deliver on being in the General Assembly?
They're wanting us to deliver on affordability. Things are getting out of control as far as the cost of living, and they want to make sure that we can bring that cost of living down.
We just saw, of course, what took place in Congress. Overwhelming numbers. They passed this housing bill. Trump refuses to sign it until they pass his Onerous Save Act. That's one of the huge issues. And so is that what your constituents are talking about, the cost of housing here in Virginia?
Definitely the cost of housing. Right now, the cost of gas. And what that's doing, of course, with the war, but that's a whole different ball of wax and story. But definitely bring in housing as far as the cost of living. With housing in our area, as far as my district, $2,000 a month, that's not affordable fare.
And you represent what part of Virginia?
I'm representing part of Hampton, part of York County, the entire city of Poquoson, which is going to be southeast Virginia.
And when you look at your area, what are the specific needs of the folks that you represent?
Specific need for my folks is a concentration on veterans, because we have a huge community with veterans with the military bases we have. Also, of course, with affordability, because, again, with the military moving around, and we have one of the largest shipyards in the world, Newport News Shipbuilding. So it's a matter of building a workforce, and that's one of my concentrations, workforce development.
We were talking offline, and one of the things that is really of interest, we focus a lot on it on this show as well, is really trying to educate voters on what's going on. There are a lot of people who have checked out of the system. They say, you know what, my vote is a waste. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it has any impact on my life. And I'm constantly trying to explain to people that there's no aspect of your life that politics does not touch. You may not think so, but it's a simple fact.
Exactly. And we see that even just filling up the other day. I was filling up on getting some fuel and talking to a young brother. Hey, how you doing? Great. I say, hey, so are you registered to vote? He said, no, I didn't vote. I said, well, why not? He said, I don't have a reason to vote. I said, well, how you feel about the gas you're paying? It's too high. Well, if you voted, you have the right people in place, and gas wouldn't be so high. He said, I get it.
And that's the thing, I think, how we have to approach it. When people ask me, I go, what are the three most important things you care about? And we have to teach folks what those three things are, and then tie it into public policy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of times they just don't understand that everything we do, everything that we buy, wherever we live, even our jobs, depends on what's going on in the General Assembly and in D.C.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Delegate Thornton, good luck. And you got those training wheels on. So it's definitely a learning curve. We appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate everything you do, Roland.
All right. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. We're going to now talk to, bring in Delegate Jessica Anderson. Appreciate it. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
All good. All right. Go ahead and take a seat. I was just talking to Delegate Thornton again about how, again, how we really have to walk people through public policy. It is amazing to me was not amazing because I deal with it all the time, how so many people just literally don't understand the difference between a delegate, a senator, a county commissioner, a city council member, a school district member, and the roles that they play.
Yep. You're 100% right. Actually, it's funny you even say that. I also make content on the internet. It's how I got into politics, how I ran for office. And I made a video just today highlighting that, we've had a lot of conversations around things like data centers. And people don't understand that data centers can't exist in your locality unless the local government allows it. So there is a disconnect, and sometimes the most important roles, whether we're talking about county supervisors or board of supervisors or city council, commissioner of revenue, school board, they have the biggest impact on our everyday life, and they see the lowest voter turnout.
So you probably had people coming to you complaining about stuff, and you're like, I understand. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Right. And then you have to point them where to go. Yes. And again, that to me is something that that we have to be. I talk about citizenship training. I call it, politics 101. Walking folks through that and even asking the most basic question: do you know who your city council member is?
Most
do you know who your school board member is? And they're gonna give you a blank stare when you ask that question.
Absolutely, you're not wrong. And I mean, I've actually hosted several civic education programs after the last 3 years running for office. I try to be super present in my community. I've had town halls where I don't shy away from a single question. I think that civic education is a huge part of the role of being in office. It's great that I'm here. I'm glad that I was elected to be here, but I need the people that elected me to also understand all the other positions that exist. Mm-hmm. And I think, sometimes don't do a good enough job doing that. And a part of this role needs to be civic education. It needs to be engagement. I'm actually hosting next month a How to Run for Office 101, because I want people to not only know what it means to run for office, mm-hmm. but being willing to put their hat in the ring, because it's not an easy ask.
Now that you have run for office and you've won, mm-hmm. What now in terms of what is the reality? What have you seen that you thought was the case that all of a sudden you're like, okay, I didn't know it was all this?
I think the biggest thing that I learned from finishing up my first session, my regular day job is working in the front office of a public education school system in an elementary school in my school division. Having a part-time legislative body like we have in Virginia, having people that are citizen-led, that have everyday jobs, that is so critical for being in those positions. I was sitting on the board of the education committee in our K through 12 subcommittee. We had a piece of legislation come forward, and I was like, ooh, this is a red flag. It was about attendance policy. And I knew from my experience in my role why this was a bad piece of legislation. And I kind of like texting our chair like, hey, he's like, push your button. And I did. And that bill got altered so that it wouldn't harm our school systems when it came to absenteeism.
Now, I want you to stay on that point right there. Yeah. Because I get a lot of people who complained about the Congressional Black Caucus. Mm-hmm. Oh, the CBC, they ain't doing nothing. And they go, well, how many bills have they sponsored that have actually gotten passed? And I try to explain to people, you don't understand public policy. Mm-hmm. You don't understand how, what you just described, a bill can be altered, how pulling something out, putting something in, all of that. And again, it may never show up. It's like in sports, they say the critical plays may never show up in the stats yep. ledger. But that's the thing that people have to understand, that person there is looking at those things, and you may never understand how that simple, small change could make the difference between improving or weakening a bill.
100%. I mean, it's the fact that you don't want unintended consequences, but you also want to have a long-term benefit. We're very fortunate here in the Commonwealth. We meet every year. We have very fast sessions, 60 and 45 days. So I always say, if we make an error, we have a lot of time and, speed to fix it.
I'm from Texas.
Oh, it takes forever.
It's every 2 years.
I know. Yeah.
So again,
you gotta live with a mistake for a little while before it gets repaired.
Precisely. And a special session is only for that one or two specific things.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, that is a big difference.
Yes, and it's a benefit, but also the acceleration on how fast we move means that there is room for errors. I mean, that bill, should I have not been in that room, may have passed as originally authored, may have not gotten any amendments along the way, and it would have hurt some of our school systems. They would have lost accreditation. So it's a really good example of why we need experts in certain fields to be in those spaces. We now have a doctor in the House. That's huge. We have not had a doctor in the General Assembly.
And the General Assembly is often passing bills that deal with health care, that deal with reproductive rights,
100%.
all those things. And it kind of helps to have somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about.
100%. 100%. You want those people in the space. Yes.
All right, then. Delegate Anderson, we certainly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
All right, good luck.
Thank you. Enjoy the gala.
All right, folks, again, we're here in Richmond, Virginia for the Democrats for their Commonwealth Gala. And so we're going to be talking to, here we got somebody stepping up here. Got his Brooks Brother tie on. How you doing? How's it going? You all good? Yeah. All right, then. Okay, look at you. Really with that Brooks Brother tie? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, take a seat. Yeah, I got. What? I'm just saying.
Wings, but I'm doing my thing.
You need a pocket square. I'm just saying.
No, don't do that.
You need some. I can tell. You need some flavor, folks. Virginia Speaker of the House, Don Scott, went to this little inferior high school, Sterling High School.
Oh my God!
And come on now, you know.
I'm not getting to this Yates Sterling. We're not going to do this fratricide today.
No, because we don't love y'all.
We both from
we used to beat y'all down.
No. Stop. We're not going to do that.
You don't want to.
We're not going to do that right now. Let's not do that right now.
I'm going to ask one simple question. I'm going to answer one simple question. Has your school ever celebrated a state championship in football?
Not that I recall.
No. not in the PVIL.
But who's y'all's biggest athlete to come out of Yates?
Oh.
I said the one. Name the biggest one.
Oh, my goodness. Dexter Manley.
Okay, he has nothing on Clyde Drexler. Can we move on? Let's drop the mic. Oh, you have nothing to say.
Did y'all win a state title when Clyde was there?
But he was.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so y'all didn't win nothing.
But biggest
y'all didn't win nothing
out of H-Town.
I mean, we got so many state titles. Just pick it: women's basketball, men's basketball, football.
Okay. Y'all stacked the deck. Y'all was in third ward. All the talent was in third ward. You know about that.
Then of course
I'm from third ward. You already know.
Then we got Debbie Allen, Felicia Rashad.
Oh my God.
You know. Roland Martin. I mean, come on.
Oh, my God. Okay. You belong there. You do.
Of course I do.
You do. I got to give you props. You know I'm not going to hate on you. Who celebrates Roland Martin more than me? Don't get started. Somebody call and say something about Roland Martin, I'm going to curse them out.
Let's talk about what's happening. You now have the trifecta. You do not have that many. Republicans have more places in the country where they control House, Senate, and governor's mansion. Explain to folk who don't understand what that means, having the ability to control your political destiny.
We get to control the agenda. We get to set the agenda on what is going to be heard, what's going to be done. We're going to make sure in Virginia, just look at Virginia alone, in a southern state, the first thing that we did when we got the trifecta is that we made sure that we enshrine a woman's right to take care of her own body, have bodily autonomy, take care of her own medical issues, kept politicians out of the doctor's office. Second thing that we did was we restored rights. Virginia had a long Jim Crow history of felony disenfranchisement. We did that. That'll all go on the ballot. And then we're going
to ballot in November.
They go on the ballot this November. That's why this November is so important. And we have to reelect Mark Warner. And then we have to elect the new Congress folks. We'll reelect Bobby Scott and Jennifer McClellan. But when you set when you have the trifecta, we get to set the agenda. And what we did this year, we gave teachers a 4% pay raise. We gave state employees a 3.5% pay raise. We put unprecedented dollars in health care to make up for the big BS bill that they did that we had to restore so people can be able to buy health insurance, to make sure that we kept hungry children children this summer from going hungry, by making sure we put money in the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program and the SNAP program. We have done everything that the community and the Commonwealth of Virginia asked us to do to offset what Donald Trump and the MAGA folks up in D.C. have done and the kind of harm that they've caused here in Virginia. has been palpable, but we have been resilient. Our budget is strong, and that is because Democrats are here. And Democrats also, we can walk and chew gum. We can take care of workers every day, and we can make sure that we grow the business community and be true to the values to be able to give people the opportunity to have employment.
But how do you also explain to people who really who don't understand, as always, how the sausage is made, who don't understand public policy? Because a lot of folk complain. A lot of people say they want stuff to be done, but they really have to understand that process. And I keep saying it, we got to have especially in our community, we got to have massive citizenship education training where people understand what a city council does, a school board does, county commissioner does, state, and what congressional folks do.
And folks ought to understand, democracy is not a destination. You have to do it every single day. You don't get to say, oh, we won an election, it's over. There's another election, and in Virginia we have one every single year. So there is always something going on. You have to stay engaged. You can't be despair. I've heard people say, well, that didn't go my way, and so now what do we do next? What do you do next is you get back up and fight. And we're from a community down in Texas where we know, we just celebrated Juneteenth. We have a legacy that we've inherited that we have to continue to fight. We don't get the chance to go into despair and start feeling sorry for ourselves. We have to continue to fight each and every day because we're not only doing it for us, we blessing our ancestors, and we're also making sure that we take care of our progeny, our children that are going to come behind us. And so we have to continue to fight. The policy issue, there are people that I know who had been in the minority for 20 years straight in the House of Delegates, 20 years straight. And they had been pushing the same ideas, the same agenda for a long time. And finally, when we got the majority, we were able to do some of those great policies, do criminal justice reform, make sure we take care of our kids, invest in public education. We invested billions, not millions, billions in public education over the last 2 years that we've had the majority. And so I feel like folks need to understand this makes a difference in everybody's life.
Right.
We need to make sure that we continue.
So a couple of days ago, I interviewed Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic leader, and I talked about, and I said to him point blank, I said that black voters have changed, that you can't use the old model of how you go out and get black folks to vote. I said you're going to have to spend 3 to 4 times as much time, 3 to 4 times as much money, reach out to them, because it's just a different perspective when it comes to voters. And in his response, he talked about what y'all did here in Virginia to understand how you got control. And that, to me, is what should be happening nationally. Are Democrats in other states, they're trying to hold the Senate seat in Georgia, trying to capture the Senate seat in North Carolina, obviously Texas with Tallarico, Florida. Then you have Sherrod Brown in Ohio. You have Iowa, Alaska, and then of course trying to win the House. Are they reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, Speaker Scott, show us what you did and explain to us how you did it"?
You know, sadly, those leaders are not, but the Democratic activists around the country are. The people that want to win and are trying to get engaged, they have reached out to me.
So the leadership is not sitting here going...
The only leader who has spoken to me consistently is Hakeem Jeffries, to his credit. We have talked several times about what we needed to do, and I've seen him implement some of the things that I've talked about. You got to remember, when I came in, I was the minority leader in 2022. My job was to win 23 in a tough environment where Joe Biden was at 38%, in Virginia in approval ratings. We had a very popular governor here, a Republican governor, who was doing everything in his power to keep us in the minority. We won back the majority with a 2-vote majority, 51-49 in the House. There's 100 seats. And then we took that 2023 victory, and then in 2025, with engaging African-American voters in a real sustained, not just waiting until election week, but early on, going into communities over a period of time, engaging Latino voters, engaging Asian American voters, engaging all voters, because people need to understand black voters want the same thing every voter wants. They want safe schools. They want a resilient economy. They want public safety. They want the same thing. People keep saying, well, what do black voters want? They want a job. They want to work. They want to believe that they have, if they do the work.
They want a business. They want access to capital.
They have aspirations. They want to be able to start a business. They want to be able to have access to capital. They want to be able to make sure that the playing field is fair. They like James Brown. They don't want nobody to give them nothing. Just open up the door. They get it themselves. And so I think we need to continue to understand that black voters have the same aspirations as every other voter. And I think what's happened is we started speaking just down the voters sometimes. And I think we need to go back to communicating. And we spent a lot of energy. And we were able to take that 51-49 majority in 2023 and turn it into a 64-36 majority in just 2 years to where we are right now. And that's the largest majority, Democratic majority, in 5 decades in Virginia. So we know what to do with it. We continue to do this work and continue to build on it and then deliver once we get the majority. You can't get the majority and celebrate.
Right.
You have to get the majority, deliver, and then communicate what you deliver.
See, that's, to me, I would think that these progressive billionaires and others out there who are spending money will be sitting here saying, Speaker Scott, come on here and explain us the game plan. And listen, I've been highly critical, and I ain't got no problem keep doing it. I still fundamentally believe that the biggest problem with the National Democratic Party is you largely have white male Democratic strategists who are not listening to black people, who are not engaging black pollsters, black consultants, and talking to people on the ground to understand how you win. You cannot win solely by appealing to white folks in the suburbs. And you can't appeal thinking, oh yeah, we got them, we got them. That's how Democrats in Texas lost Latino. In the last election, 1 million African Americans, 1.1 million African Americans did not vote.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump doubled his support among black men in Texas from 15% to 30%. Ashley Etienne dropped a new piece the other day. And so my deal is, if you want to win, you had better learn how to engage this new black voter, because the black voter in 2026 is not the same even when Obama ran in 2008.
Totally different, and folks have to understand that. And there is something about that's why Mandami took everybody by surprise, because we live in these echo chambers. People got to get outside and go touch grass, go be outside more, because
Joe Madison, God rest his soul, always said, you got to put it where the goats can get it.
Yeah. And that's what folks are doing, and that's why we were able to grow here. And to Governor Abigail Spanberger's credit, that's why she did so well. She stayed focused and talking to folks, and she did a lot of outreach in all of those marginalized communities that folks had thought they had been left behind. And not only did she do it, then she delivered. She delivered on things that they cared about. I know people talk about we legalize adult use cannabis, but that's not the only thing the black community cared about. That's one small piece.
Right.
People care way more about public school education, making sure the teachers got the pay that they leave so we would stop the brain drain here. So those are the things that we have delivered on, making sure that kids who were disadvantaged had an opportunity to learn and not be hungry. So those are the things that we focused on, making sure that we had access to health care and good health care, making sure that women got the health care that they needed, making sure that she started a men's, I ain't gonna say boys to men and boys commission, making sure that we understand what's happening that's keeping men from achieving, understanding the gender gap between attainment of higher education. These are all of the things that we're focused on. We're not just talking about it, we're being about it, and I think if we continue to do that, we're going to do well.
You mentioned Zoran Mamdani, and this whole week, you've had this massive freak out, I really think, because the New York is the media capital of the world.
Anything that happens anyway.
I do not believe that, oh my God, the Democratic Party has been taken over by Democratic Socialists. What I have said is, what the folks did was they presented an agenda, they spoke to the people, and they mobilized and organized. And if you are the so-called Democrat establishment and you are mad about what happened, that means that you were lazy, you weren't paying attention, you wasn't out there building your coalitions, and frankly, like in boxing, what do they say? Always protect yourself at all times.
Yeah.
What happened was they got caught slipping.
Yeah.
That's just what I think happened.
Yeah.
And so to now be mad, well, you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Well, what it should be is an opportunity for them to be motivated to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. And they could learn some things. Learn how they communicate, learn how they message, but not only that, learn how they mobilize and organize and get people excited. And I think that's very important.
Because you had some people here who said, Don, what you doing?
Yeah, what you doing bringing in Roland Martin?
What are you doing? but also, why you doing that?
Yeah.
Why you spending this?
Why you over at these churches? Yeah, why you over in this community? Why you in this Latino community? Why you over here these suburbs? We had to go everywhere. And I think when you did that, we got a combination of folks that came together, and a coalition that was highly motivated to help deliver what we needed to deliver. We have Democrats, we're a coalition. We're not like Republicans. We're not a monolith. You know, they fall in line behind Trump.
Yeah, but also
Democrats,
the reality is, I keep telling everybody, the Republican Party is largely a white party. The reality is, and the Democrats, they have a much larger tent.
Yeah.
You got to satisfy a lot of different constituencies, and you just can't just say, we're going to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah.
We love God, and we love guns.
Yeah.
Or as Howard Dean said, God gave guns.
Yeah, we have to have a much more diverse menu for everything that we do. We have to give people an opportunity. You know, like I tell people, we just passed a $200 billion budget last week. That budget has something in it for everybody. Everybody that believed in us, that got something, we delivered something that they could believe in and go home and be excited about. And that is what you must do. We don't get to just be a monolith in our party, and that's great. That's what I think makes us a stronger party.
A couple more questions for you before we let you go. I talked about going everywhere. I'm a firm believer. I don't like just looking at end results. I'm also about how did it get done, how it got done. So when you were the minority leader, did you pull the data and say, where did we lose? How did we lose? What were the margins? What were the counties? What were the precincts? Because that's, one of your delegates came up to me before. I spoke earlier today to the Northern Virginia Pastors Association, and I was telling them, I said, y'all got to stop doing these big, broad, get out the vote thing. I said, no, you got to have targeted efforts. I said, but you got to be able to study the data. And here's what was crazy. When I asked them, here y'all have this town hall, more than 200 people were in there. I said, did you collect the data of everybody sitting in here? They didn't. I said, this is part of the problem. You have a town hall, you don't even know who's here. You gotta have names, addresses, phone numbers, emails to understand how not to move people.
Well, when I became minority leader, I fired all of my vendors. I fired all of them. All right. The first thing I do is I want to look at process. How do we get here? And then I want to start over with people who are hungry as I am. Because I knew I only had one shot, okay? I was going to be out of there if we didn't win the majority. And so I looked at the process. I looked at precinct by precinct. I looked at demographics. I looked at the data. Every decision we made was data-driven. And we knew who we had lost. We knew what communities we had lost. We knew what we needed to target. And we knew that the margins were so thin that we needed to focus on those folks. We didn't win 64 seats by having blowouts. We won by thin margins in a lot of different communities. We won every single district that was a toss-up district this last cycle. All 13 toss-ups that Donald Trump had won, we won. That's what we did because they were razor-thin margins and we won them all.
And we're at the point now
That's how we got 64 seats.
And we're at the point now where you win by margins, which is why I say every vote absolutely matters. And when you micro-target,
you have to micro-target.
That's how you actually end up winning.
You have to micro-target. You have to be intentional. You cannot be embarrassed to be intentional about telling people, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. I'm trying to shake you so I can talk to you, so I can get you out of that chair or get you out of the, I think there's a lot of apathy towards voting now, especially with the younger community. We have to continue to work hard to communicate with them. I tell people all the time, it costs Democrats twice as much money to communicate in these communities that are disenfranchised, that are apathetic, because we have to really shake them to get them to listen, to understand, and that's what we have to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Last question.
That's why I'm going to continue to be, we're going to continue to win here.
Last one point for you. Make that point.
Jay Jones.
Which camera is his? Which camera is Speaker Scott's? Which?
Right here?
Right here. No, over here. Over here. The camera right there.
In the middle.
Tell National Democrat and donors that very point in terms of how they must be spending properly in black communities if they expect a massive turnout in November.
I mean, it's like anything that we do, there is no return on zero investment. We have to make huge investments to get the returns that we need to win in these elections. And we have to be very intentional and direct with the voters that we want to win over. If we don't do that and take them for granted, they will stay home. We're not losing elections because we don't have the message. I'm tired of hearing people say that. We're not losing elections because we don't have the ideas. We're losing elections because we're not making the investments in communities where they believe that we actually care about improving their lives and the lives of their children. That is why. Thank you.
All right, Fred, I appreciate it.
06.
My Alpha Aggie right here. So I'll tolerate Sterling. We'll mention the other two. Well, see, I'm real black. I was born in Riverside.
Okay.
See, the black people, we were born in Riverside Hospital. See, you bougie. I appreciate it. That's Speaker Donna Scott here in Virginia. Folks, again, we're here at the Virginia Democrats Commonwealth Gala. Joining us right now is the Attorney General of Virginia, Jay Jones. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm all good. Good seeing you.
Good to be back.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to Virginia.
I appreciate it.
Frequent flyer.
Yeah, I got a few miles on the airlines. I got a few.
To Virginia, because you've been here for us a whole bunch, and we're grateful.
I actually live in Leesburg.
There you go.
So I'm still registered to vote in Texas.
Okay, that's why I thought you were in Texas.
I'm still registered to vote there. That's my homestead. I live here, so, but yeah, I got, matter of fact, if I had to add it up, I think I got 3.1 million miles on 3 airlines, so I got a few.
I got to start flying with you.
I got a few. It's been, what, 6 months since you've been AG?
Just about.
How's it gone so far?
You know what? We hit the ground running. First black attorney general in the 407-year history of Virginia, and we've been delivering on the promises that we made to folks during the campaign last year. We've sued Donald Trump over 50 times to protect against federal overreach. We've kept our communities safe, and we're attacking this cost crisis. People, myself included, are struggling because this administration refuses to do something to get it under control, and instead they're trying to levy tariffs that are illegal, that are driving costs up, and we're fighting back on that. And, I think the people of Virginia are very pleased to have Democratic leadership at the top because we're delivering. We got a budget that's coming that's going to work for every single Virginian, and we're really, really proud of the work that we've done, and we got those folks out of office who were really just doing everything that Donald Trump was trying to tell them to do. No more. We respond to the people.
And now, you had a setback when it came to the redistricting election. What's the path forward?
We're going to have a really successful year in 2026 in Virginia and across this country. We have talented candidates, and people are fed up. I get to move around this Commonwealth. It's one of the great, benefits of my job. And from corner to corner, it doesn't matter if it's, a blue part of the state or red part of the state. People want relief, they want help, and they want candidates who are going to speak to the challenges that they're facing. And right now, the Democrats are doing that. Republicans are too scared. They're too afraid of Donald Trump to do anything beyond what he says, and that's going to be to their electoral detriment. We're going to win seats in Virginia. We're going to win seats across the country, and Hakeem Jeffries is going to be the next Speaker of the House of Representatives in January of 2027.
One of the things that I keep saying is, so what happens is when you look at these national shows, when you look at the networks, and they're sitting on, Democrats are polling at 28%. What I keep telling people is that's what people are saying in terms of their perception of Washington, D.C. Yet when then you go to various states, when you see wins in this state, when you see winning mayoral seats in Florida they had not had in 30, 40 years, winning special elections, I keep saying November is going to be about, but outside of the state races, it's not a presidential year. Congressional seats are local elections. State rep, state senate, local elections. And so I said, folks, people are thinking differently, and those candidates are going to be running candidate and district-specific messages and not solely what's coming out of Washington, D.C.
Well, a good candidate listens to the people that they're trying to get votes from. And if you are listening, and it doesn't matter if you're in Virginia, you're in Texas, you're in Florida, you're in North Carolina, people are hurting right now. They are struggling because of the policies that the Trump administration continues to push, and the folks in Congress who have R's next to their names are rubber stamps for that. You see Republican incumbents who are running away or trying to run away from the president to their detriment because then he turns on them too. And when you have a candidate who's going to be responsive, who's going to listen, that resonates with folks. And right now, everybody is getting crushed, right? I have 2 little boys. My older son just turned 4. My younger son will be 2 next month. Our grocery bill is off the charts. If you compare it to what it was a year ago, what it was 2 years ago, it is absolutely off the charts. And I know that I'm not alone. There are millions of people like me just across the country.
I thought this was going to be the golden economy.
Hey, The proof is in the pudding. If you look at your bills, people have to make an awful choice between putting food on the table and paying rent, paying their light bill, and paying their car insurance. That's not where we should be, but that's what the Trump economy has done. And in Virginia, we have been fighting against that. The electoral results will demonstrate that we've had some success there. And now once we're governing, we deliver, because Democrats are the party of results. We're the party of solutions. And in Trump's economy, they don't have a solution except to go down with the ship.
One of the things that I spoke earlier today to a group of pastors, and I said to them at a town hall, it was in Triangle, Virginia.
That's where my in-laws live.
Okay. It was at Mount Zion.
Oh, yeah.
And what I said to them is, we need to understand that this administration in D.C. and on the state level, there's an absolute, in the state's Republican Party, an anti-black agenda. And there's no other place than what we're seeing from in the area of civil rights and law. They want to destroy that civil rights infrastructure. And you've got an extreme court that's standing with them. And I really need, so as somebody who's the Attorney General, explain to people why this is so huge when they have this extreme court making these decisions that could very well lock these rulings in place for 30, 40, 50, 100 years.
Well, when I think about it, the work that we've done since January, we've sued the president a lot, but we've had victories. Myself and our Democratic coalition, we've beaten the president on several occasions, in particular when it comes to tariffs. And so I know that this is a moment when people feel dejected, they feel disheartened, they feel broken down. And I would just say, look, to the black community, right? Think about where we've come from. We had our ancestors brave the Middle Passage, slavery, Jim Crow, black code, segregation, and they never gave up. And they never lost sight of that ultimate goal, which was full equality and power. And we've gotten there. And it feels like you're rolling a rock up a hill and it falls back down on you. But where we are now is light years ahead of where we were, and it's on us right at this moment to step up and fight back. And that's why I think the courts are such a powerful mechanism to do that. We're going to have more black people elected to office at every level come November, which I think is powerful. You think about the Black Caucus here in Virginia in the legislature, 36 members, the first black attorney general, the leadership in the General Assembly are black people. Virginia sets the model for how things should be and where we can go. And so in my office, we have fully staffed up our Office of Civil Rights so that we can protect people here in Virginia. When the federal government doesn't want to do their job, I will happily step in and protect my citizens, and people across the country are looking to their attorneys general to lead in that same way. And I can say that the Democrats have delivered on that too.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I've explained to a lot of people why we cannot ignore these statewide races in down ballot, because you might have this chaotic, insane federal Department of Justice, but when you have, frankly, black Democrats who are attorneys general, now all of a sudden that changes the game. And so just like people didn't understand the power of a Secretary of State until Bush v. Gore in 2000. Folks are like, Secretary of State, I don't know what they do. They're a secretary. They learn in Bush v. Gore who the Secretary of State matters.
These statewide races are really important, and it could be a Secretary of State, it could be Attorney General, it can be your treasurer, it can be your chief financial, whatever you call these offices. Everything has a role and a purpose to play. In the era of Donald Trump, when they are taking, massive steps to expand their power through the presidency, and we have to fight back. Right now, it's on states to step up and to fight and protect and defend, and we're doing that. And that's why I'm so optimistic about our ability to take back seats in Congress so that we can have the other branch be a check on the president, because right now, attorneys general, we have been the ones holding the line to keep democracy from breaking, right? We are in a very deep bend. The founders designed the system to ebb and flow and to withstand, but we've never been closer to the brink, and it's attorneys general who have done that job, and I'm proud to stand with my other 23 Democratic colleagues to do that, and we need to get Congress back so that we can get some help.
All right, then. Attorney General Jay Jones, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks
Always
a bunch.
Great.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Folks, we're here in Richmond, Virginia, where the Democrats are holding their Commonwealth Gala, huge fundraiser for the party. It is their annual event. We were here last year as well. And so been talking with a number of elected officials about where they're going in this state, but also what is going to be happening in the fall. You've got the general election taking place, hugely important. We've been talking about all of this, and so that's where we are. So joining us right now, is it Schuler?
Skyler.
Skyler Van Valkenburg.
Say that 10
times
fast.
You got a double-sided card. Got a double-sided card.
You know what they say? They say if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have been talking about, really trying to get folks focused on understanding politics 101, understanding what it works. Whenever I travel this country, and it drives me crazy when people say, man, that stuff means nothing. That stuff has no part of my life. And I'm going, no.
Yeah.
You have every facet of your life, no matter what you think about, government plays a role in that, whether it's the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the water you drink, your utility bills. It doesn't matter. It does, and you got to be a part of the process.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, that's my day job. I'm a government teacher. So this intersects with both of my jobs. And I think in Virginia, look no longer than the last 4 years, where we saw the inability of Democrats to be able to get an affordability agenda through to protect people's freedoms and rights because we had a Republican governor that could veto all those pieces of legislation. And now in this past year that we have Abigail Spanberger as our governor, you see that we've been able to get win after win after win on trying to lower healthcare costs, trying to lower housing costs, trying to lower energy costs, trying to make sure people's freedoms are protected and respected. I was in the House of Delegates the first time we tried to pass these 3 constitutional amendments: rights restoration, taking the gay marriage ban out of the Constitution. And we lost that election in 21, and we weren't able to send those things to the voters. And so hundreds of thousands of people were not able to have their rights automatically restored because we lost 2 or 3 seats that we should have won, and that could have gotten that done faster. And so that's just one small example. But if you look at the dozens of things that we did this year, the fact that we voted in the people that are going to try to make a change for people and try to make sure we're protecting people's rights, you're right. It's so important.
You said you're a government teacher. I mean, does that drive even you crazy when people say those things, and then you say, do understand, somebody else is voting.
Yeah.
And I don't care how you feel, somebody's going to win.
Yeah.
So you might want to, so I really hate that lesser of 2 evils.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Guess what?
Yeah.
Lesser of 2 evils is better than pure evil.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and it's all about political efficacy, right? It's all about the voter understanding.
Hold on, see right there, see? You just used the word that regular people don't use.
That's what I was about to explain.
See, too big of a word.
That's what I was about to explain.
Go ahead.
It's all about the voter understanding that the things they do matter. That when they go, whether it's they go in that voting box, whether it's they go knock doors for a candidate, whether it's they talk to their friends, they go to that church event, they go to that union hall, it's all about understanding that everything they do matters. And when we get people engaged and we get people participating, they see it for themselves. And I think it's really important for folks like me, folks like you, folks like the Democratic Party of Virginia, to get people out, because once you get out there and you do it, you see these things we're talking about. Right now, we're just having a conversation about things that might be flying over people's heads, or they might not see it in their bill this month, or they might not see the effect for a couple months. But when they get out there and they do these things, right, they see how it matters. And so it's really important, whether you're a politician, a church leader, a union leader, a radio show host, whoever, we got to get people out there, because then they do see how much it matters.
All right, then. Well, the dinner's about to start. Senator Van Valkenburg, got to head to your table. I appreciate chatting with you. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot. Again, folks, we're here in Richmond, Virginia. They are about to start the dinner inside. Let's get a shot inside the room. Again, this is a huge fundraiser for the State Democratic Party in Virginia. All of their big names are going to be speaking. Governor Spanberger, Senator Tim Warner, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General Jay Jones, Speaker Don Scott, and others, Lamont Bagby, who is the state party chair. And so we are here live, our second year here, talking about them. As you heard Speaker Scott say. I mean, what Virginia has done has showed exactly what happens when you maximize power. And so the fact that they control the House, control the Senate, control the governor's mansion, and black power is in place. To have an African American to be the Speaker of the House, to also have an African American over the money in the House, to have an African American woman, Louise Lucas, who is the Speaker pro tem of the Senate, and to be over the money in the Senate is critically important. And so, folks, that's real. This is the place where you will drive on Jefferson Davis Highway, a highway that was named after a white domestic terrorist, one of the greatest traitor in American history. This state, conservatives in this state have long embraced the Confederate flag and Robert E. Lee and others. But the reality is you have African Americans who are leading right now. You've had African Americans lieutenant governor. You had, of course, Doug Wilder, who was governor of this state as well. And so it's important. And look, you're lieutenant governor, Democrat and Republican in this state. And so it's important for us to understand, how do we maximize our power? And we're going to keep talking about on here that when we look at across this country, too many of us are sitting on the couch. Too many of us are checking out of the process when, in fact, everything about us, everything about our lives are being impacted by government. You've heard me say numerous times that the moment you are born, that birth certificate is a government document. And when you go to public school and your immunization record, that's a government document. When you get a high school diploma from a public school, that's a government document. If you go to college and go to a state school, your degree is a government document. Your student ID is a government document. If you get married, that's a government document. You get divorced, that's a government document. You die, that death certificate is a government document. And so what we have to explain to people, we really have to explain to our constituents, we must explain to folk that when we don't vote, we are allowing somebody else to be in control of your taxpayer dollars, to be in control of the money. And so that's what must happen. As you heard Speaker Scott say, it's also important for us to challenge these folks out here who want us to vote for them to also invest in our communities during campaigns. You can't ask black folk to only be volunteers when you pay white staffers. You cannot ask us to be sharecroppers and till the soil and somebody else benefits financially. There must be return on that investment. And so you're going to hear us over the next 5 months talk about this in a consistent space, and that's what we're going to do. And so in a moment, they're going to go live with the dinner. So let's go inside the room, and we'll hear the speeches. And then at the conclusion, we will then have more interviews from Richmond, Virginia.
Good evening, Virginia people with grateful hearts, acknowledging that you alone are the source of wisdom, justice, mercy, and hope. Thank you for gathering us tonight for the privilege and pleasure of serving our neighbors and participating in the work of our democracy. Your word reminds us in Micah chapter 6, verse 8, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require? To act justly, to love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Lord, may these words guide every person in public service. Teach us to seek justice with humility, extend mercy with compassion, and pursue the common good with integrity. We pray for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Bless our governor, our constitutional officers, members of the General Assembly, local leaders, judges, first responders, educators, and all who carry the responsibility of public trust. Grant them wisdom, discernment, courage, and hearts that seek the welfare of every community. We pray for those serving the United States Senate and the House of Representatives. Give them grace to listen well, to seek truth, to work across all differences, and lead with integrity. Strengthen all who serve our nation and remind them that leadership is a sacred responsibility to pursue justice, protect the vulnerable, and preserve liberty. As we gather tonight to celebrate past victories and prepare for the work ahead, keep us mindful that true success is not measured only by elections won, but lives strengthened, communities united, and opportunities expanded for all people. Heal divisions within our state and throughout our nation. Replace bitterness with respect, fear with hope, and cynicism with a renewed commitment to serve one another with dignity and grace. Empower each of us to be instruments of peace, advocates for justice, servants of mercy. And may our words reflect truth, decisions reflect wisdom, and our actions reflect love for our neighbors. We entrust Virginia and the United States into your hands, asking that you would continue to bless our Commonwealth, our nation, with righteousness, compassion, and peace. We pray all things. I said we pray all things. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
You may take your seats.
There is the mic down.
Yeah, it should be. They're working on that.
unplug it.
And it didn't work?
Go ahead, unplug it. Go ahead.
Please welcome to the stage this.
What they do? They smiling in your face all the time. They wanna take your place. The backstabbers, backstabbers. They smiling in your face all the time. They wanna take your place. The backstabbers, backstabbers. All you fellas who have someone and you really care, yeah. Then it's all.
All right, cut. Democrats, you know, the last time we were here last year, we were preparing for this little election. And everybody was a little nervous, and everybody was worried, and how's Abigail gonna do? And how's the House of Delegates gonna do? Well, because of you, Abigail Spanberger won by 15 points. And because of the trust that you gave us in the House of Delegates, we expanded from a 51-49 majority to a 64-36 majority here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so I would be remiss if I did not stand here just to say thank you. I want to thank Chair Bagby for his support and encouragement. Hey, boy. I want to thank the Governor Abigail, Her Excellency, Abigail Spanberger, for her hard work. And I must thank every member of the House of Delegates caucus who put in that work. Thank you all for the work that you did. And then I have to thank all of you who put your time, your talent, and your resources to work to help us. And then when we won, we didn't just win and rest on our laurels. We won and then we began to deliver for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We delivered record investment in public education. We focused on a resilient, affordable, safe, and secure Virginia, and that is what we have delivered. We have delivered that with a little pain, a little bit of pain, a little family feud, but guess what? Guess what? All of y'all know y'all got a crazy uncle and auntie. And sometimes everybody got to still come to the family reunion, and we still get it done. So I want to thank y'all, and let's go party tonight, Democrats, and let's go get ready to win and make sure that we elect Mark Warner and Shannon Taylor and Elaine Laura and Tom Perriello and Eugene Benman, and let's win this Congress this year. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi.
Good evening, Democrats. It is so amazing to see all of you here tonight to celebrate what a remarkable accomplishment we made over the past 12 months. We did it, Virginia. Thank you, Democrats. Thank you to everyone who's here. I am here especially to say thank you to all of the members of our local committees. Thank you to everyone who knocked doors, who wrote postcards, who supported our candidates, who got out and staffed our polls, making sure that voters knew who was on the ballot and how to vote. Thank you for the work you do day after day after day. Because of you, we elected the most diverse House of Delegates ever elected in Virginia.  20 years, 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 And apart from that diversity, what's really important is that we elected a General Assembly that looks like Virginia, that fights for Virginians. That's what we did. Because of you, thank you, we made history in electing a slate of statewide officials that has broken the records and that made America stand up and take notice. And because of you and your hard work, Virginia is giving birth once again to those American ideals on which it was founded. That's the work that you have done today. Let me tell you a little bit about my day, because it resonates with the work that we as Democrats have been fighting for so hard. Today, as we reach the near the end of Pride Month, I stopped by a bookstore this morning. That bookstore that is LGBTQ and Asian American owned. It represents the full breadth and the diversity that is our nation and that we especially celebrate here in Virginia. It reminds us that we must celebrate every single member of our community, and because of the trust and the values that we are sharing with so many across Virginia, we are going to pass that amendment for marriage equality in November. We know as Virginia Democrats that we're fighting for human rights, we're fighting for equality rights for every single member of our community. And my next stop, as you heard from our mayor, was at the Multicultural Festival this morning. And that was such an amazing experience to see the full breadth, the diversity, the representation of so many different communities that live in Central Virginia, that make our communities enriched by all that they have to offer, whether it's through the businesses that they start up, whether it's through the culture that they help support, whether it's through the richness of the restaurants and the cuisines that we're able to offer. It was so important for us to be there when so many people are feeling under attack and vulnerable. Today, Virginia is standing with its immigrant communities. We are fighting for everybody who lives here. And you know what? You guys amaze me. When Donald Trump told Muslims and immigrants that they aren't welcome in this country, what did Virginia do? Virginia turned around and elected me, the first Muslim woman to be elected to statewide office in this nation. Thank you. We sure know how to send a loud message to Washington. We did that. It resonated across the country. It resonated across the world. And so Virginia is at the cutting edge. When the Supreme Court took away our right to abortion access, what did Virginia do? We got to work. We're going to pass that amendment to secure reproductive health care rights for everyone. When Republicans work so hard to limit voting rights and to return us to the Jim Crow era of voting in this country, what did Virginia do? Virginia got to work. We're going to pass that amendment for the automatic restoration of voting rights for all of our returning citizens. So look at you guys. I know you're tired. I know you've been fighting hard. I know you are unrelenting in the efforts. And I know that even though we're tired and sometimes we're just fed up, we're going to translate that anger. We're going to translate that frustration into making sure that we are protecting America. We're protecting Virginia, that we are fighting to restore democracy. Democrats, we We have critical elections coming up this November. Let's make sure our candidates not only win, but that they win big. Let's make sure that we send Senator Mark Warner back to Washington so that he can fight for us. Democrats, when they tell us that we are not going to save this country, we're going to continue to respond, that we know what we're fighting for. We're fighting for we the people, and it's we the people of Virginia that are going to get the job done in this 250th year. Thank you so much, Democrats.
Virginia's 49th Attorney General, Jay Jones.
Good evening, Virginia Democrats. How do you guys feel tonight? First, as I start, let me say thank you. Thank you to every person here who has carried this party through what has felt like one nonstop election. Last year, you organized, volunteered, gave, traveled, called, texted, protected the right to vote, refused to let Virginia fall backward. And then this April, before you could even catch your breath, you did it again. And that is what makes this party different. Virginia Democrats show up when the stakes are highest, the hours are long, the polls are tight, and when the rest of the country is watching. Because of you, Virginia has proven it again and again and again. Our Democrats are the finest in America. And I want to thank my friend, Chair Lamont Bagby, for bringing us together tonight and for leading this party with strength, discipline, and heart. Lamont, thank you for keeping us focused on winning elections, building power, and delivering for the people of Virginia. Now we have more work to do, and this year begins with re-electing Senator Mark Warner. As chair of this party, as governor of this Commonwealth, and as a United States Senator, Mark Warner has fought for Virginia. He fights for our jobs, our military families, the intelligence community, small businesses, rural communities, and the basic idea that government can still work when serious people do serious things. And at a time when Washington is full of noise, Mark Warner brings that steadiness. And at a time when too many people chase headlines, Mark Warner delivers. Virginia needs Mark Warner back in the United States Senate. And 2026 is going to be our year. Rob Whitman, we're going to beat him. And down where I hail from in the 757, we're going to beat Jen Kiggins too. And we're going to beat John McGuire. I mean, we're talking about John McGuire. We're going to beat John McGuire. Ben Klein, we're going to beat him too. And Morgan Griffith in the fight in ninth, we're going to come beat you too. And I know she's not here tonight, but my auntie, Senator Louise Lucas, she might be watching on the stream, and I got to tell you, I know 10-1 has a nice ring to it, especially with some colorful language in between. But respectfully, Madam President, I will say to every one of you here tonight, 11-0 sounds even better. That's the work that lies ahead for us. Re-elect Mark Warner, flip all those seats, take back ground, show this country that this Commonwealth is not for sale, that it is not up for grabs, and we Virginia Democrats never back down. And I want to be clear, I will be out there with you, knocking doors, making phone calls, showing up in every corner of this Commonwealth, because nobody is above the fundamentals. Not a candidate, not an elected official, not an attorney general. This is how we win. We do the work. And now I stand before you as the 49th Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first black person to hold this role in our 407-year history. Now, Now, look, I do not say this as a line in a biography. I say it because history matters. And in Virginia, history is not abstract. It is under our feet. It's in our courthouses. It's in our classrooms, our neighborhoods, and the laws that the General Assembly passes. This is the Commonwealth of massive resistance. But it's also the Commonwealth of Barbara Johns. This is the Commonwealth where black children were locked out of classrooms. It is also the Commonwealth where families braved the circumstances to push Brown v. Board of Education all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. This is the Commonwealth of poll taxes and literacy tests. But it's also the Commonwealth of men and women who organized, marched, prayed, sued, voted, and refused to surrender the franchise. That is the history that lives in my office now. And when I walk into my office, every day I carry my father, Judge Gerald Jones, who walked into rooms that were never built with him in mind, but made them wider for people who came after him. I carry my grandfather, Hillary Jones, who served this country, studied the law, and believed that justice was not just a slogan. It was an obligation. And I also know that I didn't get here alone. I got here because Democrats in this room and across Virginia believe that the office of the Attorney General should protect people, not punish political enemies. I got here because teachers, nurses, firefighters, tradespeople, public servants, small business owners, faith leaders, young people, retirees, union families, and working people believe Virginia could make history and create progress that lasts for generations. And I am proud to serve as the first Attorney General in Virginia history who was also a union member. So to my brothers and sisters in labor, thank you. Thank you for standing with me, building the middle class, keeping Virginia moving, and reminding us that dignity at work is not a side issue. It is a Virginia value. And let me tell you, when Democrats win, we get to work. Because this year, Virginia Democrats passed paid sick leave, paid family and medical leave, moved Virginia towards a $15 minimum wage, lowered medicine costs, invested in childcare, housing, public education, workforce credentials, teacher pay, safer communities, healthcare, energy, affordability, and climate. The list goes on and on. Democrats deliver. And when we pass new gun safety laws to crack down on ghost guns, close dangerous loopholes that let domestic abusers keep firearms, hold bad actors in the gun industry accountable, promoted safer storage, and kept weapons of war out of our neighborhoods and our classrooms and our communities. That is what governing looks like. And in the Office of the Attorney General, we're doing our part. I sued Bobby Kennedy when the Trump administration tried to dismantle the Health and Human Services Department and offend and fire federal workers. I sued Linda McMahon when the Trump administration tried to take away the Department of Education and put students and teachers and public servants at risk. I sued Brooke Rollins when the Trump administration threatened food assistance for needy families. I sued Russell Vaught when the Trump administration tried to weaken the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And when Donald Trump tried to interfere with our elections, attack birthright citizenship, drive up costs with illegal tariffs, and treat the rule of law like a suggestion, we took him to that court of law. That's the difference between two parties. They bring chaos and we bring competence. They pick fights with working families while we fight for them. They try to bend government around one man. We believe that government belongs to the people. And as America approaches 250 years, I have been thinking about our founders, many of them Virginians, who built a system designed to withstand highs and lows, a system that could bend without breaking. And right now, we all know we are in a deep, deep bend. Our institutions are being tested. Our rights are being tested. The rule of law itself is being tested. And one reason we haven't broken is because attorneys general, courts, public servants, and citizens across this country have held the line. But right now, holding the line isn't enough. We need Congress back. We need a Congress that will restore health to our institutions, defend the separation of powers, check Donald Trump's abuse, protect liberty, and serve the people of Virginia and the United States. When Donald Trump and his allies want power without guardrails, courts that bend to him, and laws that serve loyalty, and workers are treated as disposable, and elections are challenged when they lose, rights are treated as temporary, that's not democracy. That's not the rule of law. And I sure as hell can tell you, that is not Virginia. From the Bedford boys who left a small town in the Blue Ridge and landed on the beaches of Normandy, to the Virginia firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and first responders who ran toward the flames at the Pentagon on September 11th, to the Virginia State Police who crossed the bridge into Washington, D.C. on January 6th to help save our nation's capital and defend the peaceful transfer of power. In the hardest moments in American history, Virginians have never been bystanders. Virginia has always sent her sons and daughters forward. Virginia has always stood in the breach. Virginia has helped hold this republic together for 250 years. And 250 years after this nation was born, here in the birthplace of American democracy, it falls on us to do our part. So this year we leave it all in the field. No precinct written off, no voter taken for granted, no community ignored, no race treated like somebody else's responsibility. We re-elect Mark Warner. We defeat Rob Whitman. We beat Jen Kiggins. We beat John McGuire. We beat Ben Klein. We beat Morgan Griffith. We protect all that we've built. We expand the map. We defend the Commonwealth. And we send Donald Trump a message from Virginia that he cannot misunderstand. Our rights are not negotiable. Our democracy is not for sale. And this party is not finished fighting. Because history is made by people who fight. History is made by people who organize, people who believe, people who look at long odds, hard maps and tough races, and powerful opponents and say, not here, not now, not in our Commonwealth. So let's leave it all in the field. Let's go win. Thank you. May God bless you. And may God bless this wonderful Commonwealth of Virginia.
Share the spice of life. And it's like tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our next speaker will begin momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. The 75th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Her Excellency Abigail Davis Spanberger.
Good Lord. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near Fifth Street. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Tell my mama I ain't forget. Woke up drunk at 10 a.m. We gon' do this again. Tell your girl to bring a friend. Oh Lord, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring another round. We need plenty more. Two stepping on the table. She don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good Lord.
Good evening, Virginia Democrats. Good evening, Virginia Democrats. They gave you a long bit of time to get back to those tables with a little bit of dance music. It is 2026, and across the country, people are saying, it's an election year. This year's elections are so important. And here in Virginia, we're saying, welcome to every year for us. In Virginia, we are never too far from our last win or loss, and we are always staring down our next win. Last year, our campaign won by the largest Democratic margin since the moon landing. We won by 15 points, totaling a 17-point swing if you're counting, and I am. And because of it, Virginia is setting an example for the rest of the country. Because we won, Virginia, because we won, Virginia is taking concrete steps to tackle the high cost of living in healthcare, housing, and energy. Because we put in the work and we all won, Virginia is now the first state in the South to create a program for paid family and medical leave. Because we knocked doors and we won, every Virginian now has a legally protected right to obtain contraception. Because we made phone calls and talked to voters and won, it is now easier than ever for Virginia families and businesses to access clean energy. Because our county committees all across Virginia did the hard work of organizing people and putting people at the polls, Virginia is now capping insulin costs at $35 a month. And because we won, we passed a long list of bills to help working families across the Commonwealth. We are instituting paid sick leave. We are protecting renters from deadbeat landlords and evictions. We are finally raising our minimum wage. And because we all did the work, Virginia is the first state in the nation to tax data centers for the energy that they use. And because of the hard work of everyone in this room and thousands upon thousands of Virginians across our Commonwealth, and because we won, Virginia signed the most comprehensive gun violence prevention package in the history of the Commonwealth. 25 bills. The boyfriend loophole closed. Ghost guns banned. Red flag laws expanded. And we have banned assault weapons. And yet, despite all of those successes, in a place where elections happen every year, people can get tired and maybe even a little cranky. And the pundits and the Twitterati start viewing politics like a reality show, full of personalities and intrigue and drama. And to them, everything is multi-dimensional chess where betrayals and alliances abound. I'm actually quite sure I may have gotten voted off the island once or twice over the past few months. Or dumped from the villa for the younger crowd. But here's the thing. This isn't a reality show. This isn't entertainment. The work of politics is serious business. And despite all of our successes here in Richmond, we cannot stop the chaos coming out of Washington. Every single day, there's something new, something more chaotic, more costly, more damaging than the day before. DOGE, tariffs, a war with Iran. Rural health clinics in Virginia are already closing their doors thanks to the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. It is threatening our rural hospitals, stripping health care from millions of Americans and driving up costs in energy and housing, all while cutting food programs for hungry kids. There is unprecedented corruption and in a broken Republican-led Congress, they are focused on appeasing our chaotic president more than they are focused on standing by their duties. And they stand by as he cedes economic power and technological strength to China, separates immigrant parents from their children, bows down to a Russian dictator, engages in an on-again, off-again war with Iran, and appoints a Nepo baby home builder to the nation's highest intelligence job. All while the housing shortage continues, the gas prices surge, farmers are suffering, and families are struggling. And we don't even need to talk about the UFC embarrassment, the garish arch that may soon cast a shadow on the graves of Arlington, or his obsession with painting the reflecting pool. In Richmond and in Washington, our politics are not a reality show. Our politics are our reality, and it is serious business, which is why I ask all of you to reflect on what got you here in the first place, what led you to politics as a candidate, as an advocate, as a dedicated participant and motivated citizen. I know what keeps me motivated. It's the people I've met who inspire me, their stories, their resilience, their needs, their successes, their hardships, and their expectations that all of us will work tirelessly for them. And Virginia Democrats, we are gonna need that motivation. We're gonna need that ferocity as we run hard towards the November elections, our midterms. With August primaries, our eventual nominees for Congress will have less time to organize and consolidate voters, less time to get people out to vote. And that means it's on us to get people out to the primaries and to make sure that they are ready to work hard August through November for our nominees. We need to get excited about flipping congressional seats this November. We flipped 3 in 2018, and we can do it again in 2026. Those of us who have flipped seats know that no seat is unwinnable and no voter ungettable. And I am a Democrat because I believe that our policies are better and stronger, and at this moment we need principled leaders from Virginia standing up to the chaos from our president, and we need a Democratic majority in Congress to ensure that they can.
So let's make that case. Let's get people excited about winning and standing up for what is right. Let's send Mark Warner back to the United States Senate and let's flip the 1st, the 2nd, the 5th, the 6th, and the 9th. Let's win local races and show people what good representation is. And let's get people out to vote for our constitutional amendments. Vote yes to restore the right to vote and the dignity of those who have been through our criminal justice system and paid their debt to society. Vote yes to protect a woman's right to make her own health care decisions and not allow politicians to dictate them for them. And vote yes to remove an antiquated ban on marriage equality from our Constitution. And remember, it was only in 2006 that our Commonwealth passed the constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. For context, that was 6 years after the first Survivor episode aired and 12 years before Love Island aired in the US. And yet here we are in 2026 on the verge of repealing it. And I say that as we come to the end of Pride Month because progress is slow, but progress can also be quick. But progress can never occur without the commitment, the dedication, and the serious ferocity of those who believe in what is possible. Ordinary people demanding more of our government, refusing to accept the unacceptable, and working hard for progress. That is what has driven our nation for 250 years. And as we head towards November, Virginia Democrats, let us be united in celebrating what we have achieved for our fellow Virginians these past 6 months. And I want to have a little bit of a teachable moment here. For anybody on the ballot, you can never say it too many times. Virginia is taking concrete steps to tackle the high cost of living in healthcare, housing, and energy. Virginia is the first state in the South to create a program for paid family and medical leave. Virginia now has legally protected rights to obtain contraception. It is easier now than ever for Virginia families and businesses to access clean energy. Virginia's capping insulin at $35. We passed bills to help working families, instituting paid sick leave, protecting renters from eviction, raising the minimum wage, and we passed a comprehensive suite of gun violence prevention laws to save lives. Let us be united in celebrating what we have achieved for our fellow Virginians these past 6 months. Let us be united in working to win the consequential elections before us. And let us remember that on our side of the aisle, there is strength in disagreement and in debate because we are united in common purpose. I am proud to be a Virginia Democrat. I am honored to be your governor, and I look forward to working side by side with all of you to win in November.
I ain't changing for a check. Tell my mom I ain't forget. Woke up drunk at 10 a.m. We gon' do this shit again. Tell your girl to bring a friend. Oh Lord, 1. Here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring another round. We need 30 more. 2 stepping on the table. She don't need a thing.
Virginia Democrats, please welcome to the stage our United States Senator Mark Warner.
Virginia
Democrats.
And I won't back down.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First of all, I don't think the governor got an appropriate introduction. You all know that amongst the many, many things I loved about being governor was being that introduction we now present the 69th governor of the Commonwealth when I was governor, His Excellency. And everybody had to stand. So could we, in enormous celebration of our great governor, and you just heard the list of her accomplishments in her first session. I can tell you I got my ass beat in my first session. Could we do this one time? Let me once again present to you Her Excellency, the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger.
And now I turn it back over to our senior senator,
Thank you.
Senator Mark Warner.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for doing the appropriate introduction. Because there have been times recently where I've been introduced as the senior citizen senator. Let me acknowledge at the front end, I work in the only place in America where at age 71, I am lower middle-aged. I also want to recognize, because there's a job that I had at one point, our state party chair, Lamont Bagby. Lamont? My first then called JJ dinner before Blue Commonwealth dinner was 1987. I have never been to one of these dinners that the last speaker comes on at 7:25. Luckily, that gives me, anybody here that was old enough to remember Leon Panetta's speech? I can't see everybody, but let me assure you, I will not go as long as he did. But to our state party chair, and I've said this before, having been a state party chair, if you are a chair of a democratic institution at a magisterial district, at a county, at a city, you should get two things in life. One, a guaranteed spot in heaven. Secondly, a lifetime of paid counseling, because you can never make all Democrats happy. So Lamont, thank you, and I will just register my only complaint about this evening. Why in the heck did frickin' Don Scott get better walk-on music than Mark Warner? We'll talk about that later. Let me also just, in a moment of personal privilege, I just wanted to, I didn't know I was going to mention this, but I've always believed the Democratic Party is my extended family. You know, I got involved in Democratic politics in the 80s. I was proud to be Doug Waller's campaign manager. You know, I lost the first time I ran, and I was governor and senator. So this is my family. And this family has been incredibly kind to Lisa and I and our family when we have gone through what no family wants to go through, when we lost our daughter a few months ago way too early. And let me just say, as I think about doing this, and this is my last campaign, my daughter Madison, over the last few years, and as Abigail probably knows, having kids in the governor's mansion, especially when they're young teenagers, is not the easiest thing. But my daughter, who was God willing, gotten so much better. She always said the last few years, Dad, you've got the power. You got to try to make things better. So whatever remaining time I have in public life, whether it's a few more months or 6 years and a few more months, I'm absolutely committed to honoring my daughter's request. And I believe with all of my heart that is the Democratic Party, that it is our Democratic Party, and particularly the Democratic Party of Virginia, that is committed to making the lives of Virginians and Americans better every day. Let me also shock you here, because, you know, with all the chaos, the corruption, the wildness coming out, there's not a day that I don't get surprised. I didn't think Donald Trump and this crowd could surprise me. But we've actually done some things recently that move the ball forward. We passed a broadly supported, first time in 25 years, housing bill. We passed, at the leadership of my dear, dear friend of 45 years, Tim Kaine, a restraint on the president's ability to wage an illegal war against Iran. We got finally to something that I didn't think we'd ever get to. We got to a gag reflex from our Republican senators that says we should not put a totally incompetent person with no national security experience into the job of our top director of national intelligence. And you know what happened? On every one of these items that should be celebrated, whether it is making America safer, whether it is trying to actually bring down costs, Donald Trump, for no rational reason other than temper tantrums, destroyed all of those items. And you know, working where I work, many of you over the years have sometimes said, Mark, you shouldn't be so damn bipartisan. I still believe in bipartisanship. Matter of fact, every bipartisan deal in the last 15 years, I have been in the room. Matter of fact, if I took off my shirt and jacket, I got bipartisan tats up and down my sleeves. And I still believe that net, that makes longer, better policy. But I got to say to you, my fellow Democrats, and I say this with some, more than some, real concern, there is no old school Republican Party. There is only a group of Trump toadies. And if I have to hear one more time from a Republican senator that says, oh, Mark, you're right. Oh, Mark, you're like our conscience. I don't want to be your damn conscience. Vote your conscience. The best thing. And do not hoot me down on this, but the best thing that we could do to return our politics to some level of civility and stability and getting things done is, until there is a return of a stable Republican Party that may be center-right but is still rational, the only thing we have to do for not only them but for our country is kick their ass. And this room, and millions of Virginians worked our tail off in response to the outrageous redistricting efforts started. We think about it a lot about what happened in Texas, but as Bobby Scott, who is a much better student of this than all of us, pointed out, this started not in Texas, but it started in North Carolina. back in 2023 when 3 seats were stolen, and those 3 seats could have made the difference in terms of Hakeem or Johnson being Speaker. We voted in a tough time to say we were going to change our maps. But as the governor just said and others have said, and I was with Tom Perriello this morning in Louisa and Fluvanna where we had 70 people on a Saturday morning. I remember Fluvanna and Louisa County events that could fit around a kitchen table. We are going to win at least 4 seats this year. The path to a Democratic majority in the United States House still passes through Virginia. And frankly, we also obviously have to keep this seat in Virginia. And if I can do well, I can be a great help to these candidates all across the Commonwealth. But one of the things I think we need to acknowledge, whatever you think about the Trump excesses, living this every day, I can make you feel worse. But one of the things we as Democrats, and again, the governor and the legislature has done this with tangible items that deal with affordability, that deal with Virginian safety, but those of us at the national level have to not just be against Trump, but we have to be for a positive agenda. So let me tell you why I'm asking you to rehire me and what I'm for. It starts with health care. And let me just say, I'm a supporter of Obamacare. I'm a supporter of Medicaid expansion. God knows the denial and destruction of the Obama tax credits already cost 44,000 Virginians their health care. Medicaid, with the cynical nature of these cuts not taking place until after the election, 310,000 more. But I have to tell you, I am done with a broken system. It is time to have universal health care in America. Not decades from now, not years from now, but as soon as we come back to power. And some of you are saying, oh, God, has Warner gone squishy and liberal? No. There are all the moral reasons we know. But we will never deal with lowering our health care costs if we spend all our energy on saying this group is going to get covered, but this group is not. And not having some permanency that people, particularly I'm going to talk about AI in a minute, that people have the security that they know they will have basic health care in this country as in every other major industrial nation in the world. The second thing we need to do is we got to acknowledge we got a healthcare or a housing crisis in this country. We are 5 million units short. We don't need to stimulate demand. We need more supply. So, and I am the first to acknowledge, as a good politician, I am willing to steal ideas from anyone. And your state senator, Skylar Van Bachman, Skylar is sitting right over here. One of the ideas that is in this housing package that will become law is to go ahead and take not only abandoned buildings or hotels, but there is no community in Virginia, rural, urban, suburban, that doesn't have an abandoned strip mall. We should convert those. They have power, water, parking into affordable housing. In this bill that we passed, we need to recognize that the old idea of modular housing needs to be upgraded. We can build enormous amounts of additional affordable, cheaper housing if we do it on a modular basis. We need to expand the low-income tax credit. We need to make it easier, and I say to all my friends in the room, about who are boards of supervisors and city councils. We do not want to take those rights away from you, but there ought to be federal incentives to make it easier to build affordable housing in your communities. So we need to address those 5 million units in a way that is affordable. It is a sin in America that the average first-time home buyer is 40 years old. You will not be able to build generational wealth if we can't lower that dramatically. Coupled with housing, we need to make childcare more affordable. I have legislation right now that would actually give an incentive for childcare systems to pay extra salary, a raise for childcare workers, and give a tax credit. Unless we can pay and compensate our childcare workers at a living wage that allows them to build a career, we are never going to fill that gap. Childcare should be a right in this country, not just something for the wealthiest. We need a national security environment that meets the 21st century. This war in Iran, a war of choice, a war where there was no imminent threat. We are now 120 days, and today the United States restruck Iran with bombs. So look what this war has done. $60 billion in costs directly to Americans on increased gas prices. That does not count the cost of increased fertilizer. It does not cost the price of increased diesel fuel. Everything that's delivered to the grocery store comes in trucks based on diesel fuel. It does not count the 60 billion plus of destroyed installations in the Middle East. And there is nothing. There is no way even Donald Trump can sell this as a victory for America or for our allies. The regime in Iran is worse today than it was before. They still have their ballistic missiles. Matter of fact, one of the things, I'm going on a bit, but since I'm the last speaker, you're going to get the full dose. We are spending, just hear me out on this, we are spending $2.4 million for every missile that we send up to blow up an Iranian drone, and they have thousands of them. You know, the country that has figured out a way, these Iranian drones cost $50,000. We have spent $2.4 million. We are out of interceptors. The country that has figured out how to take down those drones is Ukraine. Ukraine has figured out, and we need to stand by Ukraine, figured out a way to take down Iranian drones at $5,000 a piece in counter drones. They offered this administration all their drone technology for free, and we said, forget about it. The Brits are now buying, the Gulf Arabs are now buying, but this is a huge mistake. We said we were going to make sure that we don't support Iranian proxies. You know, when we had the JCPOA, which was not perfect at all by any means, part of that was to give of Iranian funds relief, $5 or $6 billion. This so-called memorandum of agreement gives Iran access to $300 billion. And that money can go to Hezbollah, can go to the Houthis, can go to militias everywhere. And on the enriched uranium, come on, stay with me here. Stay with me. The best we will get is the kind of status quo we had that President Obama put together in terms of observers. And we have lost, Israel's lost, our Gulf Arabs have lost, and our reputation in the world has been diminished. America's strength is not just our economy and our military. Our strength is the fact that we actually stood for values. We stood for rule of law. We have allies. And those alliances, I see this every day with concerns, for example, about the complete idiocy of putting somebody in charge of our national security, that it was a failed third-person Nepo baby, as somebody said, Governor. This guy's only attribute was he was able to weaponize mortgage information, private mortgage information that go against Adam Schiff or Lisa Cook on the Fed. That should be a promotion to get all the nation's secrets. I have Trump appointed officials saying, Warner, you can't let this happen. I have Five Eye partners saying, we are not going to share information with you. If this happens, this does not make America stronger. Matter of fact, and I have a little bias here, I've got family from this country, but it is really hard to piss off the Canadians. And we have pissed off the Canadians. So we need a national security plan that values our allies, that invests in new technology. But I also got to tell you, and we make a lot of stuff in Virginia, but we cannot continue to fund all of our legacy platforms. We can't even use the tanks that we sent because they get blown up by drones. And we need to move forward on a national security environment that protects America with our allies going forward. Let me tell you another thing I think we ought to be for. And this has caused a little bit of discussion here in the Commonwealth. And there is no issue I probably spend more time on. Artificial intelligence. And let me just tell you, as a former tech guy, we are not putting the genie back in the bottle. AI does have still positive potential. But the amount of disruption that our country and the world will face over the next 5 years is beyond jaw-dropping. So let me give you 4 things I think we as Democrats ought to be for. And I know this has been a debate here, but there needs to be minimum standards on these data centers. It ought to include, hear me out, no increased price on your utility bill. It ought to include no misuse of water. It ought to include appropriate setbacks from neighborhoods. It needs to include no backup power that is polluting. It ought to include the requirement that if a locality makes a deal, all of the non-disclosure agreements ought to be disclosed so that everybody knows what is coming out of these. And here's what the penalty ought to be. Because there are trillions of dollars in this field. And we need to get, not billions, trillions, that's a bigger number. We need to get them to pony up money. And my feeling is this. I know I'm nerding out here, but bear with me. They should not receive what is called accelerated depreciation or bonus depreciation until they meet those standards on data centers. That could generate it from $20 to $100 billion. Second bucket. We need to acknowledge we at Congress totally screwed up on social media. We put no guardrails in place. But if you think social media could screw up our kids, you ain't seen nothing yet. There needs to be a prohibition on the use of AI for child pornography. There needs to be a requirement, and thank good the courts are working on this. If you have driven a kid to suicide by the chat bot, the company needs to pay. And we need to make sure that the promise these companies have made about not using deep fakes in campaigns is honored, because you got enough with Trump trying to screw up our elections. But if technology further screws up our election, there needs to be consequences. Third bucket, national security. I got to tell you guys, I apologize for nerding out, but this anthropic mythos will change the nature of warfare as much as drones. I won't go through the whole litany, but we need mandatory pre-testing before these models are released in terms of national security, but also in terms of the ability to completely disrupt our lives. And finally, on jobs, I will even potentially believe that there could be job creation, but it's 5 years out. So I want them to prove it, and I want them to pay for the transition. Where I think these job dislocations will come is not the old school we did with the globalization. They're not going to eliminate low-skill manufacturing jobs. They are going to eliminate particularly jobs of young people out of college. We have 9% recent college graduate unemployment. I will bet you, I hope I'm wrong, but I will bet you it'll go to 30% in 2 years. That could create literally a revolution until we figure this out. Part of the answer is a complete new set of support for people in the traditional trades, plumbers, electricians. All of our union jobs will get finally paid. And the companies need to help. But we don't really know more broadly. 4 years ago, we thought the way to deal with this was teach everybody to learn how to be basic coder. That was not the right answer. The one thing we know, and this is again, trust me, I'll be done before 8 o'clock, before 5 till 8. But the thing is this, the biggest major in public universities in Virginia and America is business administration, and economics. Those majors, for the most part, and I don't want to terrorize the parents, grandparents, or young people here, that will be where the jobs will be hit the most. As I said, 9% unemployment right now, I'll bet you it'll go to 30%. So we need a Depression-era kind of mindset of a massive reinvestment. Biggest idea I've heard, if we could take half of those young people and turn them to healthcare jobs, we need more nurses, doctors, dentists, dental assistants, PT, counselors. And the companies ought to pay for that. And one, I know I'm going on, but one big macro idea that I would welcome feedback and call me crazy, but we have a tax code, an accounting system that totally favors investment in things like computers and technology over people. We ought to make sure there is an equivalent of an R&D tax credit for investment in human beings. It ought to be created as an asset on your balance sheet. Until we equalize our system, we're not going to get this right. Last point. I am coming to the end. If it was Leon Panetta, I'd only be on 0.3 of 9. And I think, as somebody out there all the time, everybody says, all right, you guys, Trump stinks. What are you going to do? I think we need a future. We need to be future focused. We need to be innovation focused. We need to acknowledge sometimes we screwed things up. We put $62 billion into broadband, and we didn't lie a mile of fiber under President Biden. Thank God for Governor Northam, where he took $500 million and put it in the broadband, so Virginia is ahead of almost all the rest of the nation. But sometimes we need to be less bureaucratic. We need to be about getting shit done. But the issue that is a moment in time where we can go after people who have never voted Democratic, and that is the level of graft and corruption coming out of this administration. Whatever you believe, it is worse. J.D. Vance said the quiet part out loud 2 days ago. He's out at the Nixon Library. He goes, oh my God, how could this Watergate thing take down a president? Today it'd be a 12-hour issue. He forgot that there was CIA lying to the FBI. He forgot that there were the president's senior advisors going to jail and Nixon leaving in shame. But that is an indication of the ethics of this crowd. There is a chance for Democrats to be the party of values, of ethics, of truth. The $1 billion that is being spent on Trump vanity projects, from the ballroom to the reflecting pool. And I met some ladies yesterday in Culpeper who were going to lay their bodies down before they try to build the damn arch. The level of graft, where a country like Qatar gives us a $400 million airplane, and people say, no problem. So we Democrats ought to be about telling the truth. We ought to be about making sure that we recognize that it's your money when this is being abused, and we have to do more than talk about it. So we need to make sure there is a complete ban on Congress and President trading on stocks. We need to make sure, and this is where I lose my own staff. I've got a bill that says, called Stop Stupidity Act. So the next time there is a government shutdown, the only people that should not get paid are Congress, their staff, the president, and his staff. Let the pain fall. on the people that created the problem. There needs to be a code of ethics with our Supreme Court and an age limit. There needs to be a recognition that this is America's taxpayer money. We can be more efficient, but we cannot allow this level of corruption to continue because, again, our strength was our allies and our sense, as goofy as we Americans are oftentimes, that we were the party of good guys and rule of law. We cannot allow that to happen. And we particularly have to guard, because I promise you there will be efforts from inside this administration to mess with our elections. We have to stand strong. So the last thing I ask you to do is this. And don't worry, as the Vice Chair and hopefully soon Chair of the Intelligence Committee, I do have listening devices at all of your tables. So those of you who are talking, although I'd also should say this, one last thing on this. All of the businesses, and I'm a pro-business guy, but all of the businesses who are saying, well, gosh, Mark, I got to do this. Or gosh, I got to accommodate. Or gosh, I got to give them bullshit. We need to hold businesses who are bending to the Trump corruption and the illegality accountable. And I say that as a pro-business guy, because if this corruption can permeate, we will never get it back. So we have to be willing to win. And that means not only calling and giving money, it means talking to our family members who have been with Trump. There is a window right now to recapture a whole lot of Americans. What we did, what you did, under the leadership of Abigail and Ghazala and Jay and Don Scott and his 64 members, was kicking ass. We need to do that at the national level. And I know every year we say this is the most important election. I promise you, this year we're finally telling the truth. This is whether America, as we go into our 250th anniversary and the disgrace that he has made this about Trump rather than who we are, today at the Multicultural Festival, E pluribus unum, from many comes one. This is our time when we have to stand up for our democracy, for our country. We are on the front lines. It is more than about politics. Democrats, are you ready to win? Are you ready to take back the House? Are you ready to make me chairman of the Intelligence Committee again? Let's kick ass and win. Our futures depend on it. Thank you, Virginia Democrats.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for the senior senator from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Mark Warner. And lastly, my senator, your senator, everybody's favorite senator, the chair of the Democratic Party of Virginia, the senior senator from the city of Richmond, Lamont Bagby.
I hope you enjoyed your evening. I hope you enjoyed the weekend. I need to pause for a moment. I need to apologize to my dear friend Ghazala Hashmi because we went out of protocol tonight. She was supposed to speak after Jay Jones, and she spoke before Jay Jones. And so I want to apologize to her. Hope you will forgive me. You have been nothing but good to me. I love you. I love you, Ghazala. I do love you too, Jay, but not enough to break protocol. It's funny to me because when I was over there a bit ago, Senior Senator Warner told me, move this program along, Bagby. And now I see why. But I do want us to all give Mark Warner a round of applause because it was intentional for him to speak last tonight. As he said, this is his last race. And I want him to know that he is not running this race by himself. He's had a rough year. And I want you to know we have your back because you've always had ours. So we will continue to knock doors for you, to raise funds for you, and listen to your long-ass speeches because we love you. Now, I'm standing here on fertile ground for one reason and one reason only. Because in a moment, it is my great expectation that you all will join me right here on this dance floor. Javada, Melinda, Abigail, I hope that you all will join me on this dance floor and celebrate this strong year we have had. It seems like that election was years ago, but it was only a few months ago that we were working hard to elect Ghazala Hashmi. Oh, I went out of protocol again. Jay Jones, Ghazala Hashmi, Abigail Spanberger, and all 64 of them. But since then, as they spoke about earlier, we have delivered a lot of good things, and there's a lot more in store. So tonight, we party, we drink, we love on each other, and the sounds will be provided in a moment by the heavy hitter, DJ Lonnie B. Thank you. You're far too kind. Enjoy your night.
DJ Lonnie B!
Antoine, have somebody get my DJI mic off the podium. Let's go. What are we doing? All right, folks, we are live here in Richmond, Virginia, where the Virginia Democrats are having their Commonwealth Gala. This is their big fundraiser every single year. This is an opportunity for all of the party leadership to be able to come together, raise money, where they also, those speaking to the crowd and the audience here. You heard from the top leadership, the Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, the senior United States Senator, Senator Tim Kaine, who is a junior senator. It's not here. Also, we have not seen Senate Pro Tem leader, who's also the head of the Budget Committee, Louise Lucas. But Speaker Don Scott, there are a number of people here who are school board members, city council members, and others here at this hotel in Richmond, Virginia, hearing from the party leadership, laying out their vision moving forward. Do understand when you talk about what has happened in this state, this is a state that went for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Joe Biden won in 2020. Vice President Kamala Harris wins in 2024. But when you talk about a lot of the other congressional seats, when you talk about in terms of a lot of these state seats, the reality is Republicans had done very well here. Glenn Youngkin, he also won this state, and what was important when he became governor that caused Democrats to have to ask themselves some serious questions. One of the things that they had to do was look at how they were performing in strongholds like Northern Virginia. Also, if you go down south, you talk about Norfolk, those areas, really reaching out to African Americans. African Americans make up some 20% of the population in Virginia, so a critical constituency, but also one that, again, when they turn out, Democrats do very well here. But you're seeing the results of African American leadership. What happens when folk go through the system and then begin to assume power, to have an African American Speaker of the House, to have an African American House Majority Leader, to have an African American head of the House Finance Committee, to have an African American who was the Senate Pro Tem leader, an African American who is the head of the Senate Finance Committee. That is major. That is very major, because now you're controlling all of the power positions. Then you have Jay Jones, elected the first black attorney general of the state. The state has had 2 black lieutenant governors. Winsome Sears, Republican; Justin Fairfax, who was lieutenant governor. Of course, Doug Wilder, who was elected governor of this state. And so the question is, how do you then begin to take what black folks have done in Virginia and now transfer this across the country? What we said earlier is what's important, and that is you have to put money on the ground. You must run candidates who are speaking to an agenda, and so you must be making that an investment on the ground in communities in order to turn people out. But more importantly, what you have to do is deliver. And one of the big criticisms of Democrats, especially among African Americans and others, is that when they get in power, they come up with excuses as to why they can't do certain things. And then you see Donald Trump and Republicans come along, and they slam through their agenda, and they say, damn all the rules, we're going to make it happen. And so one of the reasons you see Democratic Socialists of America and you see these incumbents being upset is because of what the public is saying is, we want people to deliver on the promises. We want people to deliver. When they say, hey, we are going to achieve these goals, we want to see that happen. And that is one of the things that has to happen all across this country. Over the next 5 months, we're going to see so many people running across this country. There are all 435 U.S. House races are on the ballot in November. You have critical elections in the United States Senate as well. You've got Senate races in North Carolina, Georgia, Ohio, Maine, Kentucky, Iowa, Alaska. Those Senate races are going to determine the leadership who controls the United States Senate. And what have we explained to you on numerous times? That is, it is the United States Senate that confirms cabinet appointees, confirms senior leaders of the administration. They confirm federal judges. They confirm Supreme Court justices. And so if Democrats are able to regain the United States Senate, then they are able to stop a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing. You played the clip on the show yesterday where House Speaker Mike Johnson said, hey, y'all got to make sure that we win, because if we don't, they are going to launch investigations of the Trump administration, their donors, their family members. And I say, you damn right, because accountability has to happen when it comes to our elections. We must have accountability. We must have elected leaders who understand what their job is and what their role is. And so what we're going to continue to do, we're going to continue to educate people, breaking down the issues, having candidates come on. And here's the whole deal. I'm not afraid of having Republican candidates come on, but they're afraid to come on because they don't want to speak to our issues. They don't want to address our issues. What they want to do is come here and present a MAGA agenda. And as you've heard me say routinely, that a MAGA agenda is absolutely anti-black. They are attacking every facet of the black community. Let me say it again. They are attacking every facet of the black community. And what we must recognize, that this is a critical moment for us in order for us to change this system. This is not a moment for African Americans to check out of the process. And see, right now, Anthony, give me a shot of them line dancing. And you've heard me say this here. Give me a shot in the room. Give me a shot in the room. Come on, guys. Give me a shot in the room. All right, we got our cameras in there. All right, this is what y'all heard me say. A lot of us are line dancing all around the country. When are we going to have line dancing to the polls? A lot of us are talking about marches, but when are we going to have marches to the polls? That's what must be going on. I told y'all earlier, I spoke with the Northern Virginia Baptist Association at their town hall. And what I said to them was point blank. That is, we must have a micro to macro strategy. You heard Speaker Don Scott talk about it. Studying the data, looking at the precincts and the counties, seeing where we're turning out. There is no reason on God's earth that some 600,000 black people in North Carolina do not vote. There's no reason in the world 800,000 to 1 million African Americans in Georgia are not voting. There's no reason in the world. Yes, someone asked, are we live? We are live. There's no reason in the world where 1 million to 1.2 million black folks in Texas are not voting. And so I'm not interested, frankly, even in waiting on a party. Well, this is the Virginia Democratic Party, the Texas Democratic Party. No, this is a moment where we as African Americans, we must be mobilizing and organizing. We must be engaging our people. We must be holding our citizenship education classes. There's no reason in every southern state, in every major city and town in that state, that you do not have on a weekly basis some form of citizenship education training. Whether it's a church, a community group, a fraternity, or sorority, that must be happening. And so this is a moment. This is a moment where this generation is going to have to accept its responsibility to step up. And a lot of our folks are not doing that. A lot of us are making excuses. A lot of us are saying what we can't do. A lot of us are saying, oh my God, we're tired. No, that is simply not the moment that we're living in. This is a moment where we must absolutely be fully engaged, because I'm telling you right now, what we are facing is a MAGA agenda that is attacking, they're trying to defund Black America and attacking every system, civil rights, academic, economics, schools, you name it, they're attacking the entire black infrastructure, and we cannot allow that to happen. Folks, joining us right now, the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi, just correcting?
That's correct.
Did I get it right?
That's right.
All right then. So how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
So obviously historic win for you. How has it been thus far? What kind of learning curve has it been?
Well, it's been a very wonderful transition. You know, I served 6 years in the Virginia Senate, and now I preside over the Senate. What's been really important and helpful is that I have those key relationships already in place, not just with members of the General Assembly, but across state agencies. My team got to work right away, continuing the effort to help all Virginians.
But you also have a very narrow margin in the Senate, correct?
We do, 1 seat margin. You know, when I got elected in 2019, I was that 1 seat margin. We brought in a trifecta at that point. We were able to secure so many critical pieces of legislation. And then when we lost the governorship to Governor Youngkin, when we lost the majority in the House of Delegates, it's that 1 seat that continued to protect Virginia over these years so that we could be a firewall against the disastrous policies that we're seeing from the Republicans.
Now, the next round of state Senate elections is what, next year?
For the state government, yes, we will have all 140 seats in 2027, 40 seats in the Senate, 100 seats again in the House of Delegates. We're going to fight hard to expand our Senate majority.
You know, one of the things that I was just talking about is that what people really have to understand what is going on here. When I look at this extreme court, I don't call them a Supreme Court, this extreme court. What we are seeing is this effort to solidify their control, not just for the next election cycle, but literally for the next generation. And so what do you say to that person who's watching, who's listening, who says, you know what, I'm not feeling this, my vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count, I don't think I can actually create change?
Every person's vote absolutely matters. You know, what we've seen in Virginia when we won that one seat in the Senate, that ensured that we were able to have effective control over all of the legislation that was going to be introduced, that was going to be passed. We've been able to pass significant historic legislation that kept Virginia protected no matter what Donald Trump was doing. Every vote matters, and that's why it's so critical, especially now. I think we all agree we're facing perilous times in this country. Democracy truly is at stake. It's for everybody to act at this moment so that we can keep this nation moving forward and not relinquish the kind of prominence and effort that so many generations have made to get us to where we are.
What do you make of the constant attacks in this country on immigrants?
As an immigrant myself, I understand what pain and vulnerability so many families are feeling. And, you know, this is, again, a moment where we have to stand up for immigrant communities. And Virginia continues to show that we are not going backward. And, in fact, we are a very inclusive Commonwealth. We know that our wealth stands on the basis of the richness and the diversity that we have, not just in Virginia, but across the country. And Virginians elected, not just me, but other immigrants, we know that we're fighting for the same reason. We're here as Americans, and we're going to fight to continue to uphold those democratic values.
Well, one of the things that I am consistently trying to convey to people, and it's amazing how many people that really don't think about this here, you really don't understand the number of immigrants in this country and the number of people who are in jobs, in corporate America, in politics, who may be one generation removed. Yeah. And when you hear the phrase, obviously, black folks were enslaved, brought here in chains, but it's without a doubt, this is an immigrant-driven country. So this notion that you're not going to have immigration and we're just going to shut the borders off is nonsensical, because you cannot grow as a nation if you are decreasing your population. Your gross domestic product will actually decrease.
I agree fully. You know, America has always built its communities and resources through the efforts of so many different immigrant communities. We get the research talent, we get the scholarship, we get the entrepreneurial efforts, all from so many people around the world. People around the world hold fast to the idea of America. It is an idea that has stood the test of time. It's an idea that appeals to so many individuals because they know all the opportunity that this nation has to offer, but also the fact that it's based on a democratic principle that every single person has a right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Those words mean something very powerful for people all across the world. We need to restore America's position on a global scale.
Well, that's why I always appreciate when I read or listen to Dr. King's speech on April 3rd, 1968, when he said, America, be true to what you put on paper.
Exactly.
Because there are a lot of people who claim to be patriotic. There are a lot of people who claim to be great Americans, who claim they love the Declaration of Independence, who claim they believe in the Constitution, but their actions speak something totally different.
You're absolutely right. You know, I spent 30 years teaching American literature before I decided to run for office. And so for me, those foundational texts that actually define our American idea mean so much more than just words on a paper. And I taught students from around the world who sat in my classroom They were here pursuing an American dream, knowing that there is power in this country, and that power rests on its recognition of the individual and of the critical role that democracy plays in upholding every single voice.
So you say you taught for 30 years. Why did you want to run? Why?
So I decided to run in 2019 because of Donald Trump's first administration. You know, Trump came into office wanting to ban Muslims, wanting to attack immigrants on bigoted ways. And as a Muslim American who had grown up in this country, I knew that that was not the vision of America that I was teaching my students. And I had a special urgency to stand up and represent the people in the communities that I work so closely with.
Last question for you, and that is, as we look at the next 5 months, what do you say to Democratic strategists, and I say it, largely white male strategists, who believe in putting all the money on television, not putting the money on the ground, who believe that the path to victory are white suburban voters, and who are not truly understanding Muslim voters, black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian American voters? What do you say to folks to change their idea of how to win elections based upon how y'all have been effective here in Virginia?
I think if we still play out the same tired game, we're going to continue to lose the critical constituencies that are looking to Democrats to stand up and truly represent the full spectrum of this nation. You know, I campaigned for 2 years as I ran for lieutenant governor. I crisscrossed the state, put on over 80,000 miles in my little Prius. I talked to people in every part of this Commonwealth. People want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to know that the people who are in elected office are fighting for them, regardless of political party. And that authenticity really registers. Unless voters see you, they're not going to be able to trust you. They're not going to be able to vote for you. I urge all candidates to go everywhere, to talk to every community, to build those solid coalitions. That's the path to victory, because once voters understand what we're fighting for, they know that they can trust you as a candidate.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Osby, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. All right, good chatting with you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That is Lieutenant Governor here of Virginia. We'll be chatting in a moment. You can go ahead. You step down. You can go ahead. We'll be chatting in a moment with U.S. Senator Mark Warner. We're also waiting for Governor Abigail Spanberger to step out as well to speak to us. And so, as you heard, you had her say in terms of what is necessary. We're going to bring in Delegate J.J. Singh. And so, where is he? Where's our next guest? Let's see. All right. So they supposed to tell me the delegate is ready. I'm looking for him. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Delegate Singh, how you doing? All right. Grab the microphone right there. I was just talking to Lieutenant Governor. I was talking about what we are seeing in this country, where there is a massive attack on immigrant communities. We just had a Supreme Court decision on taking away temporary protected status for 350,000 Haitians as well as for 6,000 Syrians. And it is amazing to me. I mean, you had the Republican governor of Ohio say these Haitians are helping our state. They revised Springfield, Illinois. And it's amazing to listen to people talk and act as if immigrants are not doing jobs, contributing, helping build this country, and this idea of we can just shut the border and freeze people out means you're not going to have a country in 20, 30 years.
Well, Roland, I agree with you, and what I would say is that we used to always be able to agree on one thing, which is that we all wanted legal immigration. And now it's only one party that wants legal immigration, and that's the Democratic Party. What we've seen with the Republican Party is they want to get rid of all immigration, not just illegal immigration, also legal immigration. People
except white refugees from South Africa.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that.
I can comment. The reality is, I think the number was only it was like 4,700 refugees have been let in the last year. All but 3 were white South Africans. So they completely shut down that program.
It's astonishing what's happening, and I have so many members of my district and my community who are here on work visas, who are here legally, who are paying taxes, who are doing a fantastic job and are great neighbors, who are all very concerned about their own status. And you also, not to mention, by the way, the Supreme Court just took away religious freedom in a little-known case.
Yep, we talked about it.
Forcing a Rastafarian to cut his hair while incarcerated.
But here's what's so crazy about that. Those prison guards defied the law.
Right.
He presented his papers, they tore it up, and so this Supreme Court basically said it's okay for y'all to defy the law.
Right. I mean, that's exactly...
And we're going to rule that you can't be sued.
That's exactly what's happened. But let me tell you, there's a bright spot. There's a bright spot here in Virginia. We just elected a Muslim woman to be our lieutenant governor. I'm the first man with a turban to ever be elected to a state legislature in the history of the country. And so what I say to people is that I didn't get elected in spite of being in Virginia and in spite of being in the South. I got elected because I'm a Virginian and because I am in Virginia. And that's how this state, this Commonwealth is changing relative to the course of the nation.
Talk about that, because I'm born and raised in Houston. And right now, in North Texas, you've got hardcore MAGA attacking Pakistani Americans, attacking Indian Americans, saying, oh, we don't want these towns turning into these of their own countries. But they got no problem raising money from Pakistani American businessmen and women and Indian American businessmen and women. And I'm sitting there going, in fact, one of the legislators said, I went to the mall and it looked like a foreign country. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, if you look at what the Indian American and Pakistani American community have done in this United States, the CEO of Google, the CEO of many tech companies, the dean of the Harvard Business School, all Indian Americans. The Indian American community and the Pakistani American community have accomplished so much in this country that I understand why people may be upset. What we need to do is embrace them as our good neighbors and recognize all the valuable contributions they make. And that's what we do in Virginia, and that's what we do in my district. My district is over 40% South Asian.
Wow.
That's how Loudoun County in Virginia has changed. And so we're making a real difference.
When you hear someone on the right say, we played Tom Emmers the other day, they won't assimilate. And I'm going, but don't you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? I'm like, that is not an American holiday. That is an absolute celebration of Ireland. And we got commercials and parades and everything. I hear this stuff, and I just go, do y'all have any idea what the hell you're talking about? Megyn Kelly the other day unleashed the most racist attack on Haitian immigrants I have ever heard.
Well, I agree with you about being attacked for the allegation of not assimilating. I see it on my social media feeds every day, that I should assimilate and remove my turban. But my parents came to this country in 1970, and my father earned his PhD here. And he spoke, he's no longer with us, but he spoke perfect English. And I do too. And I speak other languages too, by the way. But this idea that he and my mom, who worked for the Department of Veteran Affairs for decades serving our country, and me serving in the Peace Corps, and saying that all of a sudden that we don't assimilate, it's outrageous.
What do you say, and then this is a conversation that I've had with African immigrants. What do you say to South Asian immigrants who may harbor negative feeling about African Americans? Do you also explain to them that it was the black civil rights experience that changed the laws that allowed for immigration to actually happen? That a number of people who are from South Asian countries, from African countries, I mean, it was the civil rights movement that actually forced these changes in laws.
100%. I was on the floor during Black History Month on February, and I spoke about the contributions of Charles Hamilton Houston, who was a pioneer in civil rights from Leesburg, or argued cases in Leesburg.
Charles Hamilton Houston, Howard Law School.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was a pioneer in civil rights, and he was a pioneer from Loudoun County. And I celebrate him, and I celebrate the contributions of our African American brothers and sisters, because without them, I would not be here. 100%. And I would tell that to anybody who asks me.
What would you say to someone, last question for you. What would you say to someone, they're watching, they're listening, and they say, you know what, it's great that he got elected, but I don't believe in this system. I believe voting is a waste of my time. I believe it serves no purpose.
We have a democracy as long as we can keep it. And without that, we have a dictatorship. And voting does serve a purpose, because right now we have a president who's wreaking havoc in the country. And without us voting, we can't get that democracy back.
Well, Delegate Singh, I certainly appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks a
Good to see
bunch.
ya.
All right, enjoy the party. Folks, Delegate J.J. Singh, they're talking with us. You know, the point I raised there really is something that is important. And I saw an Asian American politician talking about this on social media, that they need to be more appreciative of the African American experience and the Black freedom movement and the opportunities that it created for immigrants in this country. As I listened to Jerusalema, Burna Boy, as I listened to that, music is one thing, but the reality is we know what Black folks did. Listen, Abigail Spanberger, let me explain something to y'all about history, okay? We are in Virginia. It was this state that produced a Judge Homer Smith, one of the most racist members of Congress ever. So during the 1964 Civil Rights Act battle, he thought the way to kill the bill would be to include women in the bill. So they included women in the bill. And what ended up happening? That actually got it more votes. So when you see an Abigail Spanberger elected governor of Virginia, that also was a result of the 64 Civil Rights Act. Fast forward to Title IX, and y'all have heard me talk about Title IX. The reality is, Title IX was not about women in sports. Title IX was about you cannot discriminate against folks of gender if you're receiving federal dollars. That opened the schools. They opened the architecture schools, engineering schools, law schools, dental schools, professional schools to women. Title IX is a provision of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So women, white women, might want to thank Black folks for that. When I think about the American Disabilities Act, 1996, that's a provision, 1964 Civil Rights Act. In fact, when I think about even same-sex marriage, that was a 5-4 decision. That decision was based upon the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which is one of the 3 Reconstruction Amendments. Those 3 amendments were the 13th Amendment, which outlawed slavery except in the prison system, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment. So when we talk about this country and rights and civil rights, the reality is it has been Black people that actually has transformed this nation. And so everyone has been able to benefit from what we have fought for. Everyone has been able to actually do all of that. Right now, we're going to talk with the State Representative Kimberly Pope Adams. Kimberly Pope Adams, come on up. Grab the microphone right there. All right, you grab the microphone right there. So how you doing?
I am doing well, Roland. How are you?
I'm all good. And so you lost, but then you won, and so you're finally here as an elected official.
That's right. I'm official now.
Talk about your first 6 months. Hold on 1 second. I got it. Hold on. I got it. Go ahead.
Oh, these first 6 months have been amazing. I came in with a class of 64 Democrats, and we got right to work. I mean, we have already moved forward constitutional amendments. We have passed over 1,000 pieces of legislation that the governor has signed. We're improving health care. We're making life more affordable. We are improving housing conditions, landlord-tenant rights. We are doing what we promised we would do.
Now, has it been a learning curve for you? Because, I mean, again, running is one thing, governing is a whole different thing.
Absolutely, and I'm going to tell you, there is a stark difference between campaigning and governing. You can make a lot of promises when you're campaigning, but let me tell you, when it's time for your mouth and your feet to meet, you've really got to do right by these people. And I have had some great mentors. I mean, you know, the Speaker of the House, Don Scott, has been a wonderful resource, along with our Majority Leader, Charnel Herring, our caucus chair. I mean, they surround us with people who not only, you know, got us here, but show us what to do after we get here. So I'm just glad to be a part,
You mentioned the class of 64. One of the things that we've been talking about is that Democrats nationally should be studying what happened in this state in order to understand how do you elect a diverse body of people. And we have been challenging folks nationally to say, you need to understand, you're going to have to put resources on the ground in communities, and you just cannot assume that black folks, Latino voters, and others are going to show up just because.
That's right. That's right. And my district is a perfect example. When I ran in 2023, I lost by 53 votes. 53 votes, that's a neighborhood, that's a subdivision. So we know when you put boots on the ground, we get it done. And the thing is, for us in the Democrat caucus, we had goals that we had to meet as candidates. We had a certain number of doors that we had to knock. So we're not just relying on volunteers and others to come down and help us. We do the work ourselves. We meet the voters. We make sure people know. And I'm telling you, it pays off.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate it. Good chatting with you. Dr. Yvonne Smith, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know, this is my educator.
Okay. All right, hold on. You need the microphone, darling. You need the microphone.
Okay, so Kimberly was one of my students, and I was the principal. So when she decided to run this time, she called me and she told me she was going to decide to run, and she asked for a donation. I said, sure, but I can do more than that. All of those people that I knew as a principal, I rallied the tribe and village. So the first time she was not successful, the second time we hit the ground running. I was not even in her district, but I knew people and we networked and we were able to get her to where she is today. And that's my message to people. We all have to work with each other and promote each other for the right cause. And we need to be out here celebrating, but we need to do the hard work. Everybody vote, 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 and register to vote, because we are not playing. We're going to turn this thing around, and Virginia's going to be the key state to do it.
All
so
right.
I thank everybody, all my students, all my principals that I have in the academy. Go to work, you know what I say. Amplify your voice.
All right.
Roland.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Absolutely. All right. I appreciate it. Folks, in a moment, we're going to be talking with Governor Abigail Spanberger. So you can just sit the microphone down right there. And so, again, folks, we're here in Richmond, Virginia for the Democrats, Commonwealth. Come on. Come on. Yep. Just step on right on over. Here you go. Stay right here. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Grab that microphone right there. Last time we talked, you were in a car. Grab that. You were in a car.
This is a much better location.
Yes, absolutely. It is. You were a member of Congress. You know how that works, but being governor is a lot different. So how has that transition been for the last 6 months?
It's been fantastic. We've had a busy first 6 months. Certainly, we worked in partnership with the General Assembly on a whole host of priorities, lowering costs, strengthening our communities, investing in public schools. And also through my administration, we've been focused on making some real reforms within our state agencies. Just this past week, we did a press release and a press conference talking about some of the major overhauls we've done within Department of Corrections to strengthen a system and make sure that we're taking care of all of our community members and fixing some things that are systemically broken. And we're off to a strong start, and I look forward to the next 3.5 years.
It's a lot easier to have a trifecta when you control the House and the Senate, as opposed to having the opposing party control it. But it also means, though, that there are no excuses about not delivering when the public says, wait a minute, y'all control all of it.
That's right. That's right. And it means that we have to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. Certainly the things that I talked about on the campaign trail when I was running for governor, and so much of what the 64 members of the House of Delegates who were on the ballot with me, we talked about issues of affordability. We talked about lowering costs in health care. I'm really proud of some of the prescription drug-related legislation that they pushed through. We got signed into law. A number of really innovative, and we heard Senator Warner talk about some of the housing priorities that we've done here in Virginia, models for the rest of the country. Renewable energy.
Yeah, I heard him talk about in his 7x7x7 speech. When he comes over here, I'm going to remind him that the itinerary says 7 minutes.
Listen,
but I'm just saying.
No one can stop Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator from Virginia. But he was on fire, so I was happy to see him go.
The thing that I interviewed Congressman Hakeem Jeffries 2 days ago, and I was talking about how do you really speak driving grassroots for African American voters. And he talked about what happened here in this state, what Speaker Don Scott did, the campaigns that were run here. So I'm curious, are Democrats in other parts of the country, and I asked Senate Speaker Scott, and he said the answer was no, is leadership talking to folks here to say, okay, not only how were you able to take back the House, control the Senate, take back the governor's mansion, but even when it came to the special election with the Supreme Court of the state throughout, and I still don't understand their reasoning, are they actually studying what happened and listening to understand how to replicate this nationally?
Not as much as I think people should be. And I'll tell you why. And I presume Speaker Scott probably said a lot of the same things. Virginia's a really representative state as it relates to the rest of the country. Whether it's our rural communities or our urban communities, whether it's our agriculture or our industry, we have really population-dense Latino communities, South Asian communities. We have strong and vibrant Black communities in cities and in leadership, and also so much of what you see throughout the South, which is rural agricultural Black farmers who for so long have gotten forgotten. So across Virginia, we have so much of what exists at the national level, and what we were able to do in 2025, flipping our 3 statewide seats, flipping 13 seats in the House of Delegates, and as you mentioned, in the referendum, which was in April, a totally random time for an election, not only did we vote and pass that referendum on redistricting. Now, as you mentioned, the Supreme Court of Virginia overturned it, but just back in 2020, we had 66% of the people voted for our redistricting amendment. So that speaks to how substantially we made the argument about the urgency of that temporary responsive fix. And I think there's a lot to be learned from Virginia. Of course, I'm biased as the governor of Virginia, but truly our communities and what we were able to do, it was highly tactical, highly engaged. And we basically, as a coordinated campaign, decided we have to make sure that, of course, there are people who are deeply engaged voters, but it is about reaching people in the places where they are, where they're most comfortable, so that they don't have to come to us all the time. And so, I mean, between the bus tours and the visits to churches and faith centers and community events, we just did the back to the basics, deep community-driven campaigning. All of us did.
Last question for you. As a part of that, when I look at the numbers, when I saw the Black turnout, especially in those last few days and on Election Day, significant. And what I've said to numerous strategists, that you can't run an old playbook, that you're going to have to spend 3 to 4 much time, and you're going to spend 3 to 4 times as much money, because the model 20 years ago, the Obama model does not work. The Jackson model does not work, and I think in too many cases, we have seen the last 6 elections national, we've seen a decrease in Black voter turnout because strategists are spending their time saying, no, we got them. And I'm like, no, you're going to have to talk to them over and over and over again, and not just assume that African-American voters are going to vote Democratic.
And the thing where it comes down to is it's people are busy and life is hard and gas prices are going up and you're worried about your kids, right? And it's about connecting the dots. And so even if you think somebody might be likely vote for a Democrat if they get out and vote, it's about making sure that you're giving them a reason to believe that it's worth it, and giving them a reason to know, because you're there, you're showing up, you're talking about the issues that are mattering to them. And that counts for all voters, but particularly we talk so frequently about the fact that, there's turnout efforts for black voters, but what we did in Virginia was a longer term communication effort to make sure that, yes, the person who's going to go out and vote, okay, they're going to go out and vote, but let's make sure they have the information to talk to their friends and their family.
I call it connecting the dots.
And yes, and so that not only they're going to check that box when they go to the ballot, but they're going to inspire and excite and engage their friends and family to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, Governor Abigail Spanberger, glad to be here. Glad to see you, and I appreciate you stopping by chatting with us.
Are you going to hit the dance floor? We're Democrats.
Look, I'm always dancing, so I've never called myself anything, but I do call myself a dancer. But I got to do work. So y'all can enjoy it, but I got to do a little bit more work. And Senator Warner's going to be coming over here soon, so I'm going to make sure he does not go 25 minutes.
Well, good luck with that, my friends.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, Governor Abigail Spanberger in her first term here as governor. Well, first of all, in the state only term as governor. The first 6 months has been quite a busy month when you look at the public policy. You look at the bills that have been passed. And remember, we talked about it in November. Although there's no statewide election, you have constitutional amendments that are on the ballot, including the constitutional amendment that restores voting rights for formerly incarcerated. And here's what people don't understand how that's actually done. In terms of, you have to actually vote in successive elections. It must be passed in continuous elections and before it goes onto the ballot. And so that only happened because Youngkin left, Democrat was elected, and so the House, the Senate passed it, signed into law by the governor, and then that's what's going to happen. So in this state, and if y'all want to talk about how Jim Crow plays a role, in this state, in order for formerly incarcerated to have their voting rights restored, what they had to do was, you had to actually, the governor has to sign each pardon, if you will, or restoring the rights of each individual. This started when a racist lawmaker in Virginia stood on the floor, 1905, 1906, and said, we are passing this to keep the niggas from voting. And so we have to recognize that when you look at a lot of these laws that are impacting us are Jim Crow laws. And that was the case in Virginia. And so what's going to happen is, in November, when they go to the polls and that passes, that means that the formerly incarcerated will no longer have to have the governor personally restore their voting rights. They will automatically have it restored once they pay a debt to society. And so this is where, folks, for me, and I said to the governor, I've never self-identified as a Democrat. I've never self-identified as a Republican. I've never self-identified as an independent. I do self-identify as black. And so when I am making a decision, I'm looking at who is advancing an agenda that benefits black people. And listen, if there's a Republican that's been advancing agenda for black people that's better than Democrat, I'm gonna vote for the Republican. But in nearly all cases, that is not the case. Joining us right now, folks, here is Delegate Rosita Henson. Go ahead and pick the microphone up.
All right.
Glad to have you join us.
Yes, sir.
How's it going? All good? All good. When we talk about public policy, I think for so many people, they have no idea how the sausage is made. Folks just simply want results.
Yeah.
But in this moment we're in right now, and like I was just explaining to people how, or the process in Virginia, in order to get that constitutional amendment on the ballot to restore voting rights for formerly incarcerated. And in this state, you have to pass it in consecutive sessions.
Yes.
And so by Youngkin no longer being governor,
thank God,
then it gets passed again because House and Senate get passed it,
yep.
He don't sign it,
Yep.
Okay, and so that only happens because Democrats control House, Senate, Governor's Mansion.
Yes. So as a freshman, when I started in 2024, I was the deputy whip of the House. So understanding that 51 majority and how important that is, I took that back to my district in House District 19 to say, hey, we need to come back because you have to have intervening election in order for us to pass this again. And if we lose and go down to 50-50 or 49, whatever, we have to start that process all over.
So again, for folks, intervening election, meaning y'all could pass it.
Yep.
Then there has to be an election.
There has to be an election. And
then after the election, you got to pass it again before it can go on the ballot.
100%.
And again, but that's the thing that people. So when people are coming up to me, man, what we gonna do about restoring voting rights of formerly incarcerated Virginia? You got to understand the process.
100%.
So if you don't put the people in office who is going to support that, it doesn't happen.
100%. And I'm 33, even though I got a lot of gray hairs, but I told a lot of young men and a lot of young black men who always say, oh, I don't deal with politics. It has nothing to deal with me. I'm like, well, politics is doing you. So the roads that you're driving on, the taxes that you're paying, the gas tax that you're paying, how you get to work, that's all politics, whether that's local, state, and federal. So what your friend did, and they're trying to get their rights restored, which I have a lot of cousins who've been calling and texting me. I said, hey, I have to get reelected again. I have to make sure I have at least 51. I'm glad we got 64 because now I can go to the bathroom on the House floor without worried about no votes. But once we have that majority and we're able to actually pass things, then they're like, oh, I guess you are doing something. So making sure that what we're doing in Richmond is tangible to what we're bringing back to our district is important.
So you say you're 33.
33, yes.
Black male.
Yep.
And what should this party be doing to have real substantive conversations with black men? Because when you see the increasing number that supports Donald Trump, that is appealed by their discussion about tax cuts and no taxes on tips, things along those lines. Part of the piece is before you can get them to vote for you, before you get them to register, you literally have to be engaging in conversation. What should party leaders nationally be doing in articulating that down to your state leaders, down to your county leaders, down to your local leaders?
For one, making sure that we're at the table. There has been plenty of times, and I even talked to the DNC chair, where there's a lot of tables that we don't even know existed in back rooms that we're not a part of. So how can you say you're for young black men or black men in general where we're unaware of these tables? So first, making sure we have that access and making sure that you're able to listen, not listen to respond, but actually listen to these young black men and all the issues that we're facing. I think for me, I have a duty to make sure whatever rooms that I'm in, I'm carrying the young black men with me into those particular rooms. So I met with Ken Martin, I think 4 or 5 times. The first time I ever met was a DNC chair, so many times throughout a year to make sure he's clear and we're eye-focused on how we can continue to nurture that particular relationship.
Is there a specific black male voter engagement initiative in the Democratic Party?
Well, I'm hoping so. If not, the party will have to do a better job of outlining what black men are wanting and what we have passed and what we have already done. Because I will say our party does not do a good job telling on ourselves on everything that we did relating to restoration of voting rights. I passed a bill dealing with marijuana to deal with sentence modification. So if you went to jail on probation dealing with marijuana, you can have that re-sentence looked at starting July 1st. So little things like that, making sure young black men have access to work. So whether that's a union job, working in the federal government, et cetera, or becoming their own CEOs, making sure that those opportunities are available and we're actually talking about it. I think we, again, like I said earlier, we don't do a good job talking about it. So we're normally the last one of the squeakiest wheel. But now I think since the last election, a lot of people are starting to realize, like, hey, we're here. We're in the room. We're supporting black women. We're supporting women in leadership. We got a white woman governor. And I also supported Vice President Kamala Harris. So you have black men supporting women, but just don't forget about us either.
All right, sounds great. I appreciate Delegate Answer. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, folks, joining us right now is going to be Delegate Nicole Cole. And so step on up. How's it going? All good. Take a seat right there. All right, so how's it going?
It's going wonderful. Extraordinary.
Talk about how this session has gone. Last 6 months, been a wee bit busy.
Yes, just a wee bit. It has been extraordinary. I mean, the things that we as Democrats have been able to pass and bring to Virginians to make life easier, more affordable, safer, for Virginians. I came off a school board, and so the ability to pass laws that makes things safer in our communities for our kids, it's just been monumental,
To that point, and I'll be talking about this. I talk about this all the time. How many people literally do not understand how politics work? They city council, school board, county, state, federal. How badly do we need what I call citizenship education training?
Direly. Today I was at Pride in Fredericksburg and was talking to a military member who actually happened to be a constituent, and it just irks me when people say I'm not political. This is an African American male, former military. He's not political, and I just said, Hold
on, wait a minute. You were talking to an African American male who was in the military, who said, I'm not political, when the military is
the most
governed by politics.
It's the
largest budget in the federal government.
Absolutely.
Not only that, even after you serve, unlike any other federal job, there's an entire department that is for
military veterans, exactly.
But he wasn't political.
But he wasn't political. I said, well, you absolutely need to be political. He had his 2 kids there, and I said, we're going to have a conversation. I said, the military is the most governed group of people in America, so you have to understand that it's not political. It's about advocating for yourself, for your kids.
In fact, the military is used for regime change in other countries.
Yes, exactly.
That's political. It is inherently political.
Right. And so if you aren't being political and electing people that absolutely care about the issues that affect you as a former military, that affect your kids, so that young adults can have a chance to thrive and have opportunities in America, you're doing a disservice.
Hold the microphone straight up. Straight up, there you go. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a disservice to your family.
Donald Trump, and they've made massive cuts to the Department of Veteran Affairs, laying off thousands of people, ending the phone line for people, the suicide prevention line. That's political choices has led to those cuts.
Exactly. And also to more of the stress that our veterans are experiencing, that our families that are still active in the military are experiencing, that our communities are experiencing. I'm in House District 66, which is Spotsylvania and Caroline County, and we have a number of federal employees, and they have been devastated, and it absolutely affects our communities. It affects our families when black women are being fired from our federal government for no good reason at all, and then not being able to take care of their families. That affects our communities. I mean, we are the lifeblood of our communities, but then also of the change that happens in America. When we make change, when we vote for change, things change for everyone in America.
Absolutely. And so I just, it drives me crazy when people say, I don't do politics. I'm like, well, politics do you.
Politics do you. And here, one of the things I said, all right, you don't have to do politics, but vote for me so I can do politics for you.
Yeah, but here's the whole deal, though. And this is what's hilarious. So he's a constituent.
Yeah.
But he don't do politics. But if he has issues with his VA benefits.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be the first one to call.
Let's say they're going to call your office.
Yes.
And you're going to say, that's actually federal, but you need to call so-and-so.
Exactly.
That's politics.
Right. And at least, thankfully, the people in his community, I don't know whether he voted for me or not, but the people in his community voted for me, and now I have the opportunity to represent him and to help him, and to help that community.
A passport is political.
A passport is political.
I am reading, It's so crazy. I am reading Howard Bryan's book on Jackie Robinson, Paul Robeson, and their testimony. And I forgot the white woman's name, but during that period, she literally had the sole authority to approve and deny passports. She denied passport
and somebody
of
put
W.B. Du
her in
Bois.
that position, right?
She denied Paul Robeson. She denied other artists as well because she disagreed with their politics. That is a political role. And even now, if somebody is like, oh my goodness, I got a trip coming up and I need to get what happened to me.
Right.
I could not, if you're within like 3 months of your passport expiring, you can't travel.
Right.
Well, that was a phone call to a member of Congress who got me an appointment that expedited get my passport.
Exactly.
That's political.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and that's the message that we have to make sure that our people in our communities, we have to make sure that now more than ever in Virginia, but especially in the South, that people who are registered to vote but not voting, so the registered non-voters get out and vote to make sure that you choose the elected officials who care about you and care about governing in ways that help you to thrive. We have to make sure that the unregistered voters, and I am passionate about young people getting out to vote, and I try to make it easy for them to understand, it's not complicated. You don't have to know everything about every issue. All you need to do is pay a little bit of attention to find out who cares about you.
Yep.
And that's not hard to find out what candidate who is running cares about you. Are they trying to take things away from you? Have they taken things away from you?
Yep.
Then they don't care about you. Are they giving you resources like what we did in Virginia, raise the minimum wage? That impacts young people who are just entering the workforce. Are we trying to provide housing? Or are we trying to take away your housing? So it is not hard to determine who you should vote for, and you absolutely need to vote.
All right then. Well, Delegate Cole, we appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it. All right then. And so we're gonna run to you on the road again. Run into you on the road again.
On the road again.
I appreciate it. Lamont Bagby is going to be joining us next. He's coming here. Yeah, come on, Lamont. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So so Lamont Bagby, he is head of the Virginia Democratic Party. So he's going to be joining us in just a second. And so our last two guests will be Lamont and Senator Mark Warner. Now he's still taking photos. So we're waiting on him. So Lamont gonna come on out here. We waiting to see him. Come on, brother, where you at? He was the one who was leading the line dancing in there. So as we do, I'm tired of sitting down, y'all. That's why I'm standing up. So I was sitting down for all these other interviews. And so, yeah. So we're waiting on him. Here it comes. Chat with him. Here we go. All right, then. All right, he over here hugging people. He kissing folk. There we go. The party is still going on. Grab the microphone right there. There you go. There you go right there. Folks, Lamont Bagby heads the Virginia Democratic Party. For folks who don't understand what this event is, it's your annual event. Is it your largest annual fundraiser for the party, or is it your annual sort of party celebration?
It is actually a little bit of both of them, as you can imagine. It is the event that we have annually. It used to be the JJ Dinner. We changed the name to the Blue Commonwealth. It is a long-standing event. We haven't had it in this space in over 10 years. We moved it because it was getting bigger, but this year we wanted to bring it back and make it more intimate. Mark Warner, as you know, had a rough couple months. He lost his daughter, but he also announced that this will be his last time running. And I thought it was important for us to have an intimate event where we didn't have a keynote speaker from out of town. There's plenty of them to come from out of town, but we wanted to make sure.
Because last year, Governor Westmore spoke.
Came and called us Southern Maryland, but we love Governor Moore and looking forward to supporting him. But we wanted to really highlight Mark Warner and also Don Scott, Jay Jones, Ghazala Hashmi, and Abigail Spanberger, because we had some tough races last year. And then, as you know, we won that referendum. Thanks for your support and coming and making sure we went to the HBCUs, including my HBCU, Norfolk State, to make sure that we got that word out.
So I interviewed Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries a couple of days ago. And when I interviewed him, he talked about, and I asked him about targeting black voters, hitting the ground, touching people. And he referenced what has happened in Virginia. He referenced the work that I've done with Don as well. And what have you been saying too? First of all, have other party leaders been asking, hey, what was y'all blueprint? I asked Don the question. He's like, not enough for asking that. But to me, if you are a state Democratic Party leader, your phone should be blowing off the hook, especially in all these states where you got lots of African Americans, asking the question, how did you expand your numbers in the House? Yeah. How did you hold the Senate? How did you win the governor's mansion? How did you flip these other statewide positions? And that's about touching, engaging, and spending on the ground with the black folks and not assuming they're going to show up.
Yeah, well, and I just became chair of the party a year ago. And as you know, I mean, you've looked at our numbers. You shared numbers that we didn't see. So you looked at our numbers. A lot of folks think that Virginia is a blue state. Virginia is purple as can be, but we know we have to go out and do the work. And, you know, time and time again, we have an election every year. And so the things that we did with you, the stuff that we do related to our outreach, I mean, you think about it. Before I became the chair of the party, I was chair of the Black Caucus. And we grew the Black Caucus from 18 members to now 38 members.
Wow, that's double.
While I was the chair.
Wow.
And that was intentional. When you start supporting leaders of color, black leaders, and you start getting people like Don Scott, Louise Lucas, Charnel Herring in leadership roles, they are then charging the team to go out and be conscious about being fair, about allowing people to pick the person of choice.
But isn't it also telling, and I've been calling them out, isn't it also telling your traditional white consultants, hey, y'all been losing. You might want to switch up what you're doing because you just pocketing money and we're losing when the point is to win.
Yeah, and knowing who to talk to. I mean, it's some people that put on a show and make it seem like they can connect with black people. But then there are people that, I mean, listen, black folk can see through it.
Yep.
And they know when somebody's blowing smoke. And so it's important for when we go out, we're our most authentic self. And that our staff and those people knocking doors are on message. And the message has to be what the people on the doors care most about. And I think even after we won, when we came back in the session, led by Speaker Scott, Louise Lucas, and the work with Abigail Spanberger, we delivered a lot of good stuff.
Right, but the point is, you have to deliver on what you said you were going to do, otherwise people get frustrated. As a black male who leads the party, what are you saying to Ken Martin and others, what they're going to have to do to talk to, engage, and regain the trust of black men?
I'll tell you, it's a combination of things. We have to spend money in the community. We have to spend money with the black community. A lot of black folks don't know what the opportunities are to work under the infrastructure, not just of the party, but under the campaigns. And so we're making a real assertive effort, and you've been a part of that, of going into our HBCUs, and then also going to our PWIs and finding those young black scholars that are interested in getting involved in politics.
What would you say? And again, here we are 5 months out, and I was discussing a couple of guests ago how folk have to understand how politics works. The reality is you're going to have a constitutional amendment. You got reproductive rights, but you got a constitutional amendment restoring the voting rights for formerly incarcerated. That doesn't happen if you don't have the right folks who are elected, who are able to pass that twice for it to even get on the ballot.
Yeah, and you know, we get lost in, and not lost because it's important stuff, a lot of the stuff that we talk about first. But I carry legislation this year to finally make African American Studies a high school course that's a verified credit. So now history, black history will be taught in all of our high schools.
Okay.
As a verified credit, not just an elective, but as a verified credit.
So that'll be a mandatory class.
A mandatory class.
Got it.
And then the other thing is Sunday voting.
Now why you didn't text me that? I didn't know about that about the African American Studies thing.
Yeah.
Y'all got to tell a brother. See, I could have been talking about it.
Yeah.
So when does that go into effect?
That goes into effect July 1.
So when they go back from the school year in the fall, mandatory credit.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right.
And the other thing is, you know, when we talk to the ministers going into this campaign, you know, I carried legislation back in 2020 that would allow localities to do Sunday voting.
Okay.
But they didn't really want to do it. So a lot of them to take. Now it's mandatory.
There you go.
That we have two.
Because a lot of places they got rid of souls to the polls.
Yes. Now we got early voting 2 Sundays before every election.
Okay.
And you know we got 45-day voting here now.
Uh-huh.
And mail-in. Those are all things we did under our trifecta the first time.
And the point I've also raised is that we started in 2020, when you expand access to the ballot, you are expanding the electorate. And Republicans have actually been on record as saying, if you expand the ballot, we lose.
Yeah.
So they want fewer folks voting.
You want to scare them. Yeah.
Last point, when I said you have to deliver, that's the other thing. That what people have been critical of Democrats in different places, that folk run, make promises, don't deliver, and then offer excuses as to why they couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, even if I wanted to backtrack on some of the stuff, that those other 37 Virginia Legislative Black Caucus members, led by Louise Lucas, Don Scott, Mamie Locke, and Luke Torian, they're going to hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Iron sharpens iron. We're going to hold each other accountable. And so this work that we're going to do coming into the next session, as you said, we have 3 constitutional amendments we're going to fit.
So you got reproductive rights, restoring voting rights for formerly incarcerated. What's the third one?
Marriage equality.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So we got our work cut out, but we're going to get it done.
All right, last thing for you. Look at that camera right there. There's somebody who is watching, who is listening, and they are saying, listen, I don't care about no politics. It means nothing in my life. My vote is a waste. I don't even want to get registered. What do you tell that person?
I tell that person, get out and vote. And it's easy to just say get out and vote, but don't take the work that people are doing every day for granted. Folks are hurting, whether that's healthcare, whether that's housing, and once you get folks elected, they can do the right thing by the right people, and folks can get housing, they can get healthcare, we can get quality education. We have the resources. We just have to make sure that we are seeding into the communities that need it the most. And I really appreciate you, Roland, for taking the lead on this, coming down and supporting us, because there's a lot of work to be done.
All right, Chairman Lamont Bagby, Virginia Democratic Party, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good luck. Folks, in a moment, we're going to be joined by Senator Mark Warner. He is headed over. As you heard Lamont said, he is announcing This is his last time running. He's the former governor of this state. And we, of course, have been talking to a lot of elected officials all day. And so being here is not just, hey, enjoying the music, enjoying the speeches, really hearing directly from them, laying out what their focus is, what their agenda is. I'm going to move this chair closer so I can hear. So I just want to make sure that y'all got, he's going to be lined up right. So again, we're waiting on Senator Mark Warner. He's a senior senator for the state of Virginia. Senator Tim Kaine, who is the junior senator, he is not here. And so, but Warner, of course, was essentially the keynote speech today. And we carried, of course, all of that. We're going to restream this whole conversation. But what I really want folk watching and listening to understand is that we have to be super engaged. And y'all have heard me say this, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. And that is, black voters absolutely can make the difference. Black voters can absolutely win elections. If we vote at a minimum of 70% of our capacity, that can actually happen. So joining us right now is Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator here. Now, Senator, on the rundown, everybody has 7 minutes.
Hold it, not U.S. senators. We get more than 7 minutes.
You had 7 minutes. I was sitting. I said,
you want me to talk fast?
I said, I think he's gonna go a little longer than the 7 minutes.
Well, listen. I can just say yes and no. Trump a jerk? Yes.
Well,
first, but let me take 1 minute of this to just say to the audience what Roland does in terms of presenting, not just a black point of view of America, but the fact that he is willing to put himself out to hold all of us accountable in a way that communicates and says it in a much more real way than most people in journalism is important, because at this moment in time, people are like giving up because it feels like the deck is so stacked against them. And this young man, Roland Martin, still calls it straight and keeps us in the fight.
I appreciate it. That's the only way we can do it. Let's talk about it. Lamont said, you said this is going to be the last time you serve. Yes, running again. Lamont said, so we want to make sure we heard from him for a little bit more. You're on the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, and you made a joke in there about that. That's a perfect example of where we are. The clueless leadership that is in place for our most sensitive secrets. That speaks to me how grotesque the person is sitting in the Oval Office that would just put a housing dude over all intelligence and think that's going to fly.
This man, Mr. Trump, has no respect for national security. We all know he doesn't care about affordability, doesn't care about the American people's, cost. But the idea that he would insult the literally tens of thousands of people who work in the intelligence community by putting somebody totally without merit in a position, the fact that he would be willing, there's a very critical intelligence tool called Section 702. He's punting on that until he gets his voter disenfranchisement bill, the so-called SAVE Act.
And he ain't getting it.
He ain't getting that. No, there is no way, even with our Republicans, that was a bridge too far.
I love hearing Speaker Mike Johnson blame the Democrats, and I'm like, hell no.
Hell no. Hell no. And on top of that, and we talked about this when we were together in Norfolk and in Petersburg, the fact that for all the flaws of the American military, for particularly African Americans and women, once it was opened up, this was a path based on meritocracy. And now that this guy Hegseth has got a vendetta against black generals, flag officers, women, that makes us less safe as a nation when he demotes or gets rid of people that have risen to their position by merit.
And there's a board that said they deserve the promotion. And to act like their perspective and their analysis is irrelevant, and what was offensive to me, here's a black admiral, number 1 on the board, you say no, but the number 3 guy gets promoted, who's a white guy, but then they want to talk about DEI and merit.
Yes, it is. This is not just about what's morally right and fair. It is about the freaking security of our country. And anybody who is a black, Latino woman, you know, we have to acknowledge rising to the military where there's still that network, you have to still be twice as good. And the fact that finally things were starting to get adjusted where people of merit rose, and to bring back almost this Jim Crow approach, it doesn't help the security of our nation. We're a nation that's, you know, at least Virginia, we're 20% black in Virginia, we're 9% Latino, 8% Asian, 52% women. It's not just morally, but if we don't take care of everybody with a fair shot, the enterprise called Virginia is not going to do as well.
Speaking about that issue, it was a year ago at this dinner. I believe, did we strike Iran or somebody a year ago? Because you had to actually...
We struck Syria a year ago.
Yeah.
So tonight
we
fired
on somebody.
Iran. And like, you know, and if one thing that anybody that's a student of history, you cannot bomb a country into submission. Remember, we're going to bomb North Vietnam into submission. You can't do it. We were going to bomb Iraq into submission. Now we're bombing Iraq. If you want to take over a country, you got to put troops on the ground. And no American wants to put troops on the ground. And one of the things that has been totally forgotten with the normal press coverage, the Iranian people, this is a country with a great culture and history. The current, since the Ayatollah came in, they're bad folks in terms of being, you know, religious zealots. But one of the things that Trump agreed to in this so-called memorandum of understanding, he said America would no longer try to interfere in Iranian affairs. This is the same Trump that during January, when the Iranian people were out hundreds of thousands on the street saying, we want a more free society, and Trump said, don't worry, we'll be there. Now he's basically saying, screw you all. The Iranian secret police can kill all of you, and we won't have any effect. And that loses American credibility in a way that you can't repair overnight.
Here's what I think I struggle with the most, and that is, and I remember President Biden talked about this here, Vice President Harris, they kept talking about guardrails of our system. They're talking about parameters and the founding fathers and what they expected. And what I said is, yeah, they thought that what would happen is even if a person was in the White House and their own party would say, no, you've gone too far. The problem here is here you've got Republicans who have completely abdicated congressional authority. I mean, they control the money, and they're like, okay, you can do whatever. And so we've never had a situation where an occupant of the Oval Office is threatening companies or saying, we're going to take an equity stake out in your company. He was bragging about his own Commerce Secretary, making his own Commerce Secretary give him $25 million. He was bragging about it in his new book, and I'm like, okay, Comer, okay, Johnson, okay, Jim Jordan, okay, what the hell are y'all doing?
Well, listen, I was a business guy before I got into this stuff. I still believe in a fairer capitalism, not the one we got right now. But for all these business people who I know very well, they all say, Mark, oh, we're just trying to cut a little thing. We got to deal with the current. They are going to be held accountable. I got no interest in, going crazy, but you cannot break the law with impunity this way and not have, when we come back, some adjudication of selling out.
It's pardons. I mean, it's like if you got $1 million or $2 million bucks, pardon, and they have stolen from people, and he's letting them keep the money.
Yes, sir. And they have now taken, just so we know, I think sometimes people think everybody in politics must be crooked. But one, that is not totally the case. But if you just want to talk about the $1 billion of your money, my money, and your money that Trump is spending on ballrooms, arches, reflecting pool, when you think about the fact that he's taken a $400 million plane from a country, Qatar, and when you think about the number of people who have been convicted, the Honduran president who got convicted for massive drug issues, and he got a pardon when we're now blowing up speedboats in the Caribbean. This is not who we are as a country. I hope and pray, but if we don't right the ship, if we don't vote in record number, people are going to basically screw up the system. The system is rigged to a degree, but if we can't unrig it, people will give up.
And I think, listen, he's already said, y'all got to hold the House or they're going to impeach me again. Mike Johnson just the other day said, hey, basically, I'm the protector. I'm going to look after y'all. You know, we got to hold this thing. When you say stuff like that, that means you know there was legal stuff that was done. And that, to me, is what is so bothersome. And you know, I was raised to respect the office of the president. And I was very adamant. I remember when I was on the CNN, I would say President George W. Bush, President George H.W. Bush. I would say President Barack Obama. I cannot use that word with him because I have never in my life seen someone who denigrates people, who trashes people, who trashes allies. He trashes black women. He trashes people he doesn't like. He calls them names. He, as the vice president digital for the National Association of Black Journalists, he has attacked numerous black female journalists. This man has no respect, no decency, no morals, no values, no nothing. And I'm sorry, folks have got to understand that allowing him unfettered rule for 2 more years absolutely can hurt this nation.
That may be the place, beyond all of the political issues or voting issues or abuse of health care, the thing that may get him will be the corruption. You know, making analogies is not always great, but there was this guy, Viktor Orban, who was like the Hungarian Trump before Trump.
Who he sent J.D. Vance over to help out and got his ass kicked.
He got his beat 3-1. And what finally turned the Hungarian people saying, we are not going to allow this corruption. And I think a lot of folks who voted for Trump, when they see this level of corruption, I think there's a chance. But if Democrats come back, we can't. Democrats are good talkers, but oftentimes not good doers.
Yes, I've been very critical.
Amen. You're right. So ultimately, if we don't get stuff done that accomplishes people's lives, one thing Trump has done, he's willing to break the glass in an awful way, the way he treats immigrants, for example. Right. But if we don't stand up and say, first of all, as Democrats, we're going to say nobody in Congress or president can trade stock. You know, Supreme Court's got to have an ethics and an age limit.
Absolutely.
We got to make sure that if there is another government shutdown, the people that should suffer are Congress and their staff and the White House and their staff. Until we are willing to show we're willing to self-police ourselves, we're not going to have credibility on that, the fact that we need to return to some ethics. You know, and one of the things that is, I think that Democrats screw up on, particularly white Democrats sometimes, is, I shouldn't say, they presume African-American community is very liberal. African-American community is one of the most conservative communities around on issues of faith and values and ethics. And we need to not just talk the talk, but walk this about telling the truth and respecting that it's taxpayer money and acknowledging when we screw up, that we screwed up.
Listen, if Democrats control the White House in 2028, they got to figure a way to not let him take that plane. Because, he's not going to put it in the museum. He's going to use it as his personal aircraft. And $400+ million of taxpayer money was went in to fortify that.
Which went into switching around and taking out the bugs that Qatar put in.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, he should be able to keep that plane. Couple of more questions. I spoke to Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries 2 days ago. And in our conversation, he cited Virginia, how it energized the ground, energized the base, how it micro-targeted African Americans, put investment on the ground. He mentioned stuff that we did with Speaker Scott.
And we did together,
Yes,
young
sir.
man.
Yeah, in referendum. What are you telling other Democrats and also these progressive billionaire donors that they cannot continue trying to use a model that's 30 years old, that they're going to have to invest more time and more resources, or they're not going to see the turnout?
Well, the old school of, get on local TV, get in the local newspaper, show up in church on the last Sunday in October for 15 minutes.
Right.
Isn't going to get it. So we have to communicate through tools and media like you. We have to communicate through social media in a way that, there is, in the city of Richmond, there is no real newspaper anymore. The historic African-American paper, the Free Press, has gone down. But even the Richmond Times-Dispatch has gone. And unless you communicate with modern tools, online and social media, and one of the things I think is going to change, we have to deal with influencers, but we need to be ahead of where I believe, Roland, politics will head, maybe not this year, but next year and by 2028, where people will maybe not listen to their social media. They're going to ask their chat bot. So how do we make sure the chat bots are not based upon historic, prejudicial? That's one of the things I'm worried about.
And the chat bot is based on what's fed into it.
And that's why, particularly like on housing, if we feed in all of the historic housing trends that were totally discriminatory against people of color or immigrants, what's going to come out is going to perpetuate that. This stuff around how we manage technology in a way that is fair-based, I think the AI stuff, I spent a lot of time on this tonight. Data centers got to pay their way. These companies got to make sure we make a job transition, because what is going to happen, my fear is that the people who are going to get screwed the most are recent college graduates. And the people who are going to get screwed of those college graduates are first-generation college growers, because they don't have the historic network where daddy or somebody else can help them. And that first generation are rural white, black, Latino, and immigrant.
Yep.
And if we don't get this right, we're up the creek.
Last question. There was a lot of drama this week because Democratic Socialist victories in New York on Tuesday. And this was my response. I said, guys, New York City, that may work there. That ain't going to work all around the country. But what I did say, that instead of Tish James, love her to death, being angry, people mad at Zoran Mamdani, I said, study why they won. They organized, they mobilized, they had a message, and they talked to non-traditional voters. For the people who are complaining about folks who lost, maybe they should be studying why they won.
I'm fascinated with Mamdani. I'll be anxious to see whether he succeeds, because mostly he's been, until the rent freeze, there's not a lot of policy stuff. But, I'm a nerdy tech guy. Biggest thing we could do, we have a tax system and an accounting system that totally supports people investing in things like technology and stuff, not human beings. If we train and gave the same tax breaks for investing in a human being, and if we could give an extra tax break for investment in a human being that may have come from a disadvantaged standpoint, and call that investment, even on a balance sheet, an asset, because now it's viewed as an expense. I know it's nerdy, but we have to shift the whole paradigm on investing. If not, we will have a world where I'm not sure humans are going to play the role they need to play. And that is going to happen at a rate. That's the thing. Congress is so damn slow, but we can't do a 2 years, 5 year study.
Right.
We got to get our act together now.
Well, again, to me, I think what's going to happen in the next 5 months, in order for Democrats to succeed, they've got to stop, to you said earlier, just thinking you're going to dump money on television and radio.
Amen, brother.
And they're going to have to, Joe Madison, God bless his soul, always used to say, you got to put it where the ghost can get
I've
it.
been a lot of time
you got to be on the ground.
Yes, sir.
You got to be touching people. You got to be communicating with them, asking them what they want. And again, I say you got to organize and mobilize. And so that's the only way to win, because this MAGA agenda, It is absolutely about defunding Black America. They are
Yes, sir.
attacking every facet of Black America, and I'm calling them out every single day. And Democratic leaders, from Senator Chuck Schumer and on, and party elsewhere, are going to have to understand that folks want things done. They don't want lip service.
And part of that, and we still got to figure, the traditional way right now is go have people knock on door and drop you a piece of literature. I'm not even sure that works. We got to find a way where people can, using the tools that people communicate, particularly young people, where they can make a personal connection to somebody they know. I'm not sure the door knock and a piece of literature is the way to do it. I'm not sure 100% what the right answer is. We got to try new things. And whether you agree with Mondami or not on his issues, we sure as hell ought to learn from his tactics.
Absolutely. Senator Warren, I appreciate it. Condolences on your daughter.
Thank you, Will.
I appreciate it. Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you, sir. God bless.
All right, folks, that is it for us. We're here at the Democratic Commonwealth Gala here in Richmond, Virginia. It has been a great time, our second year here. Great to talk to all of these leaders, including Senator Mark Warner, Governor Abigail Spanberger, Attorney General Jay Jones, Lieutenant Governor Hashmi, of course, Virginia Speaker of the House, Don Scott, and the other delegates and state senators we talked to. Folks, this election really is the most important of our lifetime. This extreme court has been hurting Black America with their decisions, and they're not going to stop, but we can stop them. I need our people to overwhelm the ballot box, but you cannot overwhelm the ballot box if you're not registered. You can't get registered unless we are overwhelming our people with true and right information, which is what we do here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. We're going to be traveling on Wednesday. I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale for a We the People session. I'll be live with my show. We'll be broadcasting that panel discussion, having these same conversations. We were just in Columbus with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty on Monday with the State of Black America there. Folks, this show, this network is committed to touching our people, informing our people, teaching our people, and we are not interested at all in the status quo. And so we don't waste our time with the gossip, all the rest of that stuff. We are all about the news and information that impacts our folks, and so we appreciate all of you for watching. We're going to be sharing these clips. We're going to be pushing these things out, and the bottom line, simple as this here, y'all. Ain't nobody coming to save us but us. And this is about us doing what's right for us. That is it from Richmond, Virginia. I will see y'all Monday back in our Washington, D.C. studios. For all of our staff here in Richmond, Virginia, we thank all of you for watching. And we'll see you on Monday right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!